Welcome in, folks, for another episode 3 of the Next Shift podcast. I'm your host, Chris Nozick, joined by my wonderful co-host, Kenny Kaminsky. Kenny, we have one of the best guests I think we could possibly have for episode 3. I will apologize for some of our fans because this is going to be a very, very heavy Boston Bruins episode. But I figured given the fan base that we're most connected to, that would probably be okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we prefaced this, if people were here for episode 1, we said that, at times this might be a little Bruins heavy, but I mean, when you have a chance to have Dom on, I mean, you take it. So I'm excited. I met Gail a few weeks ago. Now I'm going to be able to meet Dom face to face. But I'm so excited for this episode. I'm excited to break down the Providence Bruins.
Yes, we're going to be doing a lot on the Providence Bruins and all the prospects in the Bruins system. Dom is working on getting into the studio now. I know he had a cord connection issue, so he is taking care of that. But, we got camp right around the corner, captain's practice. Just real quick, did you have any thoughts on those first couple days? Anything that you felt was worth starting off with here while we wait for Dom?
Captain's practices to me aren't really like something that I'm pay attention to. It's not really a focal point for me. Obviously, I'm excited that hockey's back, but obviously we're doing this, so I'm more looking towards like the junior camps when they have the full team. I saw, some people making a big deal about players who didn't show up to captain's practices, guys like Fabian Lysell, who was not there. I don't know if he has shown up, but he that was the initial thing. Yeah, so
basically everybody who wasn't there on Tuesday was there today. So
yeah,
it's almost
so
like
people
it was
made a big
squad
deal out of
today.
nothing. Shocker, people made a big deal out of nothing. But yeah, I'm just waiting for actual training camp when the real stuff comes out. Obviously, guys are shaking off rust. So
yeah, the biggest thing for me, like you said, it's a captain's practice. First off, they're optional. Second off, they didn't just because they knew what week they were going to have them in doesn't mean they knew they were going to be on Tuesday and Thursday. If the ice was available Wednesday, Friday, they'd have fallen on Wednesday and Friday. It could have been Wednesday, Thursday. Like, they're just grabbing the ice when it's available so that the team can use it. And Warrior is used for so many different things. They didn't know exactly what it was going to be. So if someone, like Matthew Poitras, for instance, who wasn't there on Tuesday, has to book a flight to come into Boston, he's booking it so far in advance that maybe the only ticket was available on a Wednesday flight. So he just grabbed that. And then, hey, guess what? Instead of making Thursday and Friday sessions, he can only make the Thursday session. Or I know was talking to Dom about it, and he goes, most of the ones that didn't show up were not American players. So maybe it was a visa issue. Like, there's just so many different things. A lot of the players don't live full-time in the city. They tend to rent houses or rent apartments near where they live. So it could have also been a delay in housing, finding somewhere to stay while they're here, whether it's waiting for an apartment to become available and they had to find a hotel room for the night. Like, we saw it with the draft when James Higgins and Will Moore, they were told they could take the first day of dev camp off because they arrived at 4 a.m. Yes, it's always great when you see kids like that go, nope, I'm going to be there and I'm going to skate and I'm going to go full effort anytime I can. But sometimes it's just not realistic, or it just doesn't make sense to push yourself. So
yeah,
without knowing why they missed, I really can't be upset that they missed an optional thing.
Well, yeah, and again, if a player shows up to captain's practices and looks like shit, like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is such a concerning thing. I mean, obviously, it's great when players show up and they look better and they're heavier and they, but obviously healthier, healthy muscle put on, and, that's really it. I mean, I don't put too much stock into it. I want to wait till training camp when all the guys are really ready to go. And these are basically just pre-training camp practices where they're really just shaking off that rust. It's just not too important to me. Although I have seen some nice quotes coming out from some of the players, especially Nikita Zadorov. Obviously, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there's some stuff, you scroll on social media, you're like, hey, that sounds great. Even though I don't know if I'm necessarily 100% bought into what you're saying, I'm glad that you said it. So that's
Hey,
basically where I
there's
stand on captain practices.
you got to start off by saying the right things and trying to do the right things, and that's where it begins. And yeah, showing up early, showing up on time, those are the right things, yes. But again, because it's optional, I'm sure the coach knows why they're not there. I'm sure their teammates know why they're not there, and they just sit there and go, "Great, we'll see you Thursday." Who cares? Fans will read into it because that's what they do, but it just there's no need for that. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to feel, but you're in for a hell of a long season if you're going to sit there and be upset because someone's missing a captain's practice that they don't even have to go to. I mean, the only difference between now and next week even is, the microphone in the coach's face asking, why isn't player X here? And then the coach going, oh, their plane landed at 4 a.m. We told them to take the day off and just to come in tomorrow. Like, we don't know when they're coming in and we don't know why they're not there. Those are the only two things that are missing. And next week we would have been that information. So I just got the noise in my ear. So we are going to bring on the one, the only, as promised, the Dom. Dom, I have to say, you sent out some amazing news yesterday. Congratulations. Welcome back to our airwaves as Dom on the Next Shift podcast here.
Well, thank you. How's that? Does that sound better?
That sounds so much better. I can hear you.
Okay, good.
So
How about you, Kenny?
Oh, man. Just excited. Like I said earlier, I got to meet Gail a few weeks ago, and now I get to meet you. So it feels like, just good timing. And I haven't been on Twitter a lot, but I have a lot of motivational stuff on Twitter. So it's like motivational. Then I read Dom's thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this beats out everything that I read today. So I'd like to congratulate you as well. Just unbelievable
Yeah,
stuff, man.
thank you.
Dom,
It's been a
I also
long
have
3 years.
I also have to tell you that you all but inspired this show. Working with you on What's Brewing for as long as we work together has piqued my interest significantly in those lower levels. And obviously, I have easier access to the NCAA, but now that Flow Hockey's carrying the OHL, they've got most of the major juniors on there. I can watch those now too. So you've
Yeah,
kicked off that inspiration, and for that, this show was born.
it's. I mean, it's great hockey. I know from watching Kenny and watching him on podcasts and stuff how deeply he follows the American Hockey League, especially Bridgeport. See, Kenny, I do pay attention. I know what's going on. Um, and now you with the NCAA, you'll get to pick up the W. Or sorry, the Dub is not signed up with Flow Hockey yet. You'll get the Q, you'll get the O. um, you'll get games from Sweden. I'm not
Yep.
sure if they do the J20. Well, it's no longer called the J20. It's now called the U20. So there's lots of hockey there. Lots of hockey.
Easily the best thing that you pointed out for that I should look at. But that's not why people are tuning in to watch tonight, Dom. People are tuning in because
before you go on, because I was listening, I got 3 different laptops going on here, people, plus a couple of other screens. And the one I had set up, I didn't have the mic plugged in, but I was listening. And Kenny brought up a point I want to touch on about who was at or was missing from captain's practice. Now, you brought up a point we discussed yesterday. Maybe it's a visa thing, so on and so forth. Another issue is there was no direct flights from Sweden to Boston, okay, where Hampus Lindholm and Fabian Lysell came from. They actually had to travel in Sweden. There's train disruptions going on in Sweden right now. So they couldn't get to the airport maybe to get here on time. Could be any number of things. I will say this about Fabian Lysell, talking to somebody who's, I don't want to say, you got to excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. I don't want to say followed him, but has stayed in touch with him there. He's doing everything that's been asked of him this summer in terms of training, what to work on, and especially what the nutritionists have told him he's had to do this summer. So that's a plus right off the bat.
A big plus. And it sounds like it sounds like Potter's come in with some extra weight, which I know everybody likes to make a big deal about adding on weight. You know, we saw that with Jack Studnicka, and it didn't mean anything, but it always is nice when you see a smaller sized player bulk up a bit in the offseason, and that's the thing that they had to do. So,
well, there's weight and there's muscle. They're different things. So
yes,
you want them to bulk up with muscle. If you listen to what Fabian Lysell had to say today, he's saying all the right things. From what I've been told, he's been doing all the right things. Now he's got to go out on the ice and prove it.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. But to knock this player or that player for not being there at captain's practice, which is really nothing. He could get on the ice in my hometown arena. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
To get on the ice for captain's practice is nothing, and it's absolutely insane to get on a player for not doing that. David Pasternak never used to show up for captain's practices. Never.
And no one cared.
And no one cared. But we're talking an elite player here, so people let it go. But shouldn't Hampus Lindholm have been on the ice the first day? He hasn't played since what, last November?
Yeah. I mean, again, would it have been nice for them to be there? It would have been nice, but I'm not going to kill any of them.
No, we shouldn't.
Especially when you don't know why. Like, if it comes out that someone just went and said, F that, I don't need to be there, then that's a little bit different of a story. But that's not the case. And none of the vibes from the locker room are saying that someone has kind of given off that attitude. So I'm not going to worry about it right now. But you mentioned on the ice. So your big thing every year, and we did this the last couple seasons, we go through your projections. You have an amazing, almost extremely accurate formula, surprisingly how accurate it is, to project how the different prospects are going to do in their new leagues with their new teams and that sort of thing. You take into account pretty much everything. I don't know how much further you want to dive into the formula itself, but you run it against all of the prospects in the system. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I'm at this point. I sold I guess technically I still own it, but I've reached an agreement with a specific team that they can use it, but I'm not allowed to share it. I can use it for myself, for Bruins prospects, but I'm not allowed to let anybody else use it. That's our agreement. This year is a little difficult because how it works, how the model works is, and for the most part, this time of year, you know who everybody's going to be playing with it. When you got 6 prospects playing on the same team in Boston College, it's kind of hard to figure out who their line mates are going to be. And part of how the model works is based on who their line mates are and what they project to be. So, for instance, we know Higgins is probably going to be playing with Stiga in BC. we don't know who the other line mate is. We know pretty much that Oscar Yelvik and Andre Gasso are going to be playing together because they played together for 3 years, basically on the same line. Dean Letourneau was a big question mark. So when I projected him, I had him on the wing with Gasso and Yelvik.
Okay.
Not as otherwise he'd be third line center, and it just totally changes the picture for him.
Yeah.
So before we get into it, I just wanted to clarify that that does make a big difference.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people who tune in tonight have tuned into our show, Hockey, the podcast, so they know the format. I'll say this, Kenny, I'll let you pick off the prospect that we start with.
Wow. So that is a tall task here. I get to pick the first prospect. So I could pick Providence Bruins as well, right? Anybody? Any Bruins?
Well, no, we'll do Providence later because I don't. My model doesn't work with American Hockey League players. I'm currently working on one for them, but the thing is it takes 2 or 3 years to test it to make sure that it works out, or that it works the way it's supposed to.
All I'm going to say is you need to share that one with me before you sell it.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So I have to pick the first prospect. I would love to know about Elian Gronwald, what his projection is for this season.
Gronwald. Well, first of all, I love Elliot Gronwald. I really do. I was somewhat surprised at how well he did last year with Quinnipiac. But it didn't take long into the season to figure out why the Bruins traded up to get him. It really didn't. And he spent the summer with Team USA at the, what do they call it? The World Junior Summer Showcase.
Yeah.
So last year he had 4 goals and 8 assists, and I think the model projected him at 3 goals and 8 assists for the year, if I remember correctly. What I was really astonished at was he played the full season as a true freshman, 18 years old. And I know Chris and I showed highlights of him last season at how well he was defensively already as a freshman. And that's part of the biggest reason why he was invited to Team USA at the summer showcase. 6'2", 200 plus pounds. He's already solid. But I believe that there is some real offensive upside in him, or untapped potential in him. So I got him almost double reduction to 8 goals and 14 assists, 22 points on the season, which be a significant climb for him. You know as well as I do, Kenny, that sometimes when players begin to focus on offense, their defensive game begins to slide a little bit or slip. So if we're seeing that, I'm more curious to see how his defensive game holds up.
Yeah, and I think that he's at the perfect university to do it. I mean, I've had a front row seat to watching Rand Pecknold coach some of the best defensemen in the country at the college level, at least. Seeing guys like Devon Toews and Connor Clifton, who a lot of people know if you're a Bruins fan, and even guys like Chase Christie, who is, I believe, now in the KHL. He just gets the most out of those defensemen. And I remember the first game. The first few games, Elliot Gronwald was on that third pairing, wasn't given that opportunity, but something that Rand Pecknold does a great job of is allowing those younger players to have a bigger role, see, what they can do. And it was a game against Holy Cross. He had a goal and an assist. He had 2 goals. One was taken away. And then ever since then, he jumped up, and he's such an impressive player to watch. And I agree with that defensive point. And again, I see the people posting the stats from the summer showcase, and Elliot Gronwald didn't have a point, and people are asking questions. But again, that's like you said, that's not why they're having him in there. The tape will tell the story, not necessarily the stats. So I'm excited to see what Team USA decides on. But Elliot Gronwald is a hell of a prospect, and I had so much fun watching him, and I'm excited to watch him again this year.
Look, every team needs a shutdown defender or two. Every team needs it. Doesn't matter what level of hockey you're at. And could they do better than inviting Gronwald? Yes. But if he's brought in there to Team USA, that's what he's there for, is a shutdown defender, not to go out and put up 10 points in 7 games. Right? That's what he's going to be.
Yeah. I should have known that he was going to start with someone from Quinnipiac being right down the street from him.
Yeah.
And actually, I did pull up your projections from last season, and you were dead on. 3-8 is what you had him for projected last season. So, it still astonishes me how close you get with the projections. Like, your model works. That's one of the best things that you can always lean back on. So I'll make your life a little easier, though. I know everybody can find the projections at dom.hockey. I'll start at the top of your list where you have Liam Pettersson, who will be he'll be in that J20 league that you talked about.
Yeah, so it'll be his his second season, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, 6'2", 170 pounds. A lot of bulking up to do. But this league suits players like him and Vasek Blanar a lot, because if you can transition the puck as a defenseman in the U20, you're going to put up points. Now, last year you had 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points in 39 games. I don't see a major jump in him, but I do see a jump with 9 points and 9 goals, 23 assists, 32 points in 45 games this season. Curious with him. He earned, I think it was a 4 or 5 game stint with Vaxio in the SHL last season at the end of the season. So he's gotten a taste of what it's like to play with pros. And I've rewatched those games at the pro level. And more than the offense, I'll be watching his defense. He struggles a little bit with players with speed. He struggles with his gap control. But, those are all minor issues. They're 18-year-olds, and it's nothing that can't be coached of these young players. And he's in a good team, a good league. The Bruins have done well with the J20 over the years, the last few years. And credit to PJ Axelson and Sven, forget his last name, the other Swedish scout. It'll come to me, for keeping an eye on these guys. So defense is the big issue with Pettersson right now. I'm not too worried about his offense because I think it'll be there.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, and obviously you don't have any projections from him for last season because he hadn't been drafted, just picked in the second round. Did you think that second round 61st overall pick was a fair value for him? Do you think it might have been a little bit of a reach? What was your just basic thought on that pick?
when I put together my list of possibilities for the Bruins, he wasn't on it because I had him in that 50 to 55 range.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I'm right. It's just where I had him. I didn't think he would be there when the Bruins picked.
But you weren't that far off as
So
to
that's
where he
why he
went
wasn't
either.
on.
So,
Well, 8 spots is a lot, right?
I mean, we have to look at what 8 teams they were. If they were dumb teams, then no.
Well,
Obviously, though,
with
the J20 league, also you mentioned Leszek Blenar. Next up on the list, he is making that jump to the U20, so it would be his first season with that league, right?
Yeah, he went from the U18 to the U20, or he was in the U18 last year. I didn't get to see obviously a whole lot of them because those games just aren't available. But what I find really funny is on draft day, everybody, including the TV networks, were going, who? And even the Bruins, when they posted it, didn't have a picture of them. But I did. So I posted a picture of him on Twitter. And I forget who it was that replied to me. It says, figures Dom would have a picture of the guy and the Bruins wouldn't.
I remember that.
But look, were both you guys at development camp?
I was. He wasn't. He
year?
looked great though at development camp.
He's so the people I talk to are in Sweden are all telling me like, Dom, you're gonna love this guy. You're gonna love this guy. You're really gonna love this guy. He's got talent. Now, this preseason, he played a couple of exhibition games with HV71, the pros. I think he played one game, and he got benched for pretty much the last half of the game. Obviously, he's way above his age group playing with those guys, right? Coming from the U18s and jumping right up to pro. So, anyway, interestingly enough, I got him almost right up there with Pettersson in terms of production, simply because I think he's a better skater, he's a better stick handler, and I think he's got better vision than Pettersson does. So, excuse me, I've got him at 9 goals, which is the same as Pettersson, and 23 assists. Or sorry, I've got him at 8 goals, 1 less than Pettersson, and 21 assists, which is only 2 less than Pettersson. So I've got them pretty much even. The league suits a player like Blenar. Absolutely suits his skills and his talent level. Again, don't read too much into the production because that's the type of league it is. It's how is the rest of his game evolving?
Yeah, I mean that's the part that it's really tough to watch with for a lot of fans is, you know, it's such a hard league to find sometimes to be able to watch.
Yeah.
But you get that glimpse of him at development camp, and he really lit a lot of fires in people's eyes and stood out. So he'll be exciting to watch the path, and obviously that just means people get excited over him, and Boston will trade him, right?
No, I've ordered some isolation videos of him for this season. So there's people that make isolation videos that just focuses on him and not the play, and you know, so I'll get to dissect him quite a bit.
That'll be it'll be interesting to see your analysis when that comes in. So let's see. From there, let's stay overseas and go with our guy who's over in Russia, Kirill Yemelyanov. Did I say that right?
Wow. Yeah, I think so. But we'll just call him Yummy from now on because
I'm looking at the name and I'm like, I'm not going to overthink it. Let me just go with it. And then I stopped looking at it.
No. we'll just call him Yummy because this guy's been yummy in the preseason. He's had one exhibition game where he scored 6 points, another one where he's had 4, and then he was in another one I can't remember. I think it was a goal and 2 assists that I've got to watch this season, and I'm telling you, this was a swing by the Bruins, a swing, and I've got no problems with taking the swing in the 6th round or 7th round to try and find these guys. And I'm telling you, I don't know why I can't remember names right now. Their Russian scout must have been pretty high on this guy to. You can look these names up when I can't remember.
I'll go look them up. But I mean, yeah, based on your model, the projections that you have for him, he's gonna be exciting to watch.
He's going to be over a point per game player. So in the MHL, which is supposed to be Russia's equivalent of the CHL, the USHL, their junior league. So last season he had 13 goals, 10 assists, 23 points in 35 games. I've got him going to 33 goals, 29 assists, 62 points in 52 games.
I got the name Bondarov.
Ivan, right?
I have. It might be what he goes by. Arseny.
Yeah, I think it's So the model's got him for over a point per game. If he falls anywhere under a point per game, it's a disappointment in this league. Just a story about this league. I forget what it used to be called, but when former Bruins draft pick Alexander Koklachev was going to the MHL, that's when they rebranded and became the MHL, and Koklachev's picture was plastered all over Russia as the next big thing. His face was on bus stops, billboards, everything. Coco was the next big thing in Russia.
He was the next big thing.
And we all
here.
know what happened. we all know what happened. So, yeah, he projects more of a goal scorer than a playmaker. Though he's shown flashes of super high playmaking skills. What Euro scouts are telling me is that his 200-foot game is well above where it should be at this point.
Do you think he'll make the jump to North America after one more season in the MHL, or do you see him having a little bit more time in Russia before looking to come over?
I would like to see him. If it were me, I would like to see him play 1 year in the KHL before coming over.
Okay, so maybe 1 year this year in the M, and then next year in the K, and then
next year in the K, and then come over. Because there's no rush with him now, right? You've got 4 years to sign.
Okay, that was my next question as far as his contract.
Right. So let him play at home where he's comfortable against older players, pros, for a season, earn a little bit of money, then come over. And because if he comes over from Russia to the United States and tries to get adjusted here by himself on $75,000 or $70,000 American Hockey League salary, it's a big difference. Let him earn some a year's salary in the KHL, gain the hockey experience, and come over, and he won't have to. He'll be more comfortable.
Yeah. He's also only 18, so it's not like, I know that everybody's already looking at James Higgins as the savior of the organization, and same as far as his age. Like, I think people forget and they lose track of just how young 18 is and doing all those things. So it'll take a toll. Kenny, who do you want to go to next?
Oh man. I mean, you said the next person on the list is Casper Nason. I'd love to talk about it for a little
Oh,
bit. I'll let Dom take the ball on this one, but last season, Miami, Ohio, just ugly season, right? I think they won like two of their first 3 games and then didn't win for like the rest of the season. Just
they won three in the first month and nothing after that.
just unbelievable. Is there any shock that he decided not to transfer, or?
I'm totally sure. I'm not only that he didn't transfer, that the Bruins didn't ask him to.
Yeah, I know you and I talked quite a bit
Right?
about that when we were going through him every week, and we were just like, this poor kid's gonna want to get the hell out of here. Surprised he didn't end up at BC.
And he never did. No, I'm shocked that the Bruins didn't say, "Look, you got to get out of this system. You got to go somewhere else." That said, what was he, a 7th-round pick?
Something like that.
6th round.
He was 7th.
Yeah, 7th-round pick in 2023.
14 overall.
Yeah. Same draft as Kostadinsky, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. 2023. So, the chances of them making it to the NHL are slim and none. But even before last season, Kenny, you go back to the J20 the year before in his draft plus 1 year. He had a horrendous start to that season. Like horrendous. And then he got injured, missed 7 or 8 games of the season, came back, and that's when he really took off in the J20. But his first 25, 28 games were just pathetic, even in the J20. And then he didn't have a bad start this year with Miami, but then everything fell apart. And honestly, I mean, you follow college hockey. Does it look any brighter for them this year?
No. And I mean, the big thing last year is you look at the roster, right? And it's just their only affiliated player, the NHL affiliated player, was Nason. And it's like, well, you're going to be going against Arizona State. You're going to be going against teams like Denver and Minnesota Duluth. Like, yeah, I'm not shocked that they didn't win for months on months, because I mean, look at the teams that they're going against compared. And again, you look at the roster this year. What do they have? 3 affiliated players? Like that.
I think there's only 2.
Well, I don't know. I think it is. Let's see. Actually, I have it up.
You know who is going there? Reed Dick is going there.
No, he's going to Colgate, right?
I was gonna say, I think he's going somewhere else.
Oh yeah, he's going to Colgate. You're right.
4 players
are
affiliated.
Well, that's an improvement.
2 from Tampa, 1 from Florida, 1 from Boston. Yeah, I still don't know how that's going to play against teams like Minnesota Duluth or Denver or Arizona State, but
you're talking about them. Imagine going up against North Dakota.
Yeah, Will Zellers, that's going to be a fun game.
Yeah. One guy I'm going to mention right now that didn't make the list because we didn't know what was going to happen with him. And if anybody missed it, Cole Spicer will be going to Western Michigan for this season.
Glad you mentioned that. I was happy when I saw that. Good for him.
Yeah. So I just thought I would throw that in there now. That's why he's not on the list, because when it came out, he wasn't going anywhere to play.
Hopefully he has a healthy season. I'd be interested to see what your projections are for him, but hopefully a good season, and then he'll be able to get into the pro rankings somewhere, and we'll see where he's at when this season is over.
Yeah, because I believe August 15th they lose his rights. So this is the year he has to do something to get a contract.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where his career goes. I know you and I have talked a lot about him, so hopefully it sounds, everything that I've heard and read sounds like he's a great kid, and just has to find the right path. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So
and stay healthy.
Yes, and obviously health is a major concern. So, but I do know that your projections for Nason for this year, you have him almost doubling his point total.
Yeah, which is, I don't believe he'll reach it, but I mean, that's what the model says he should do. I don't think he will.
Yeah.
And so here I am knocking my own.
Well,
Let's have, like, if you look at the model last year, you said you have it in front
yeah,
of
you
you.
had him at 6 goals
I believe-
and 10 assists for last year, and he came in at 6 and 4.
Now, yeah. So let's use Chris Pelosi and Beckett Hendrickson as an example because they played on the same team for virtually most of the season until Hendrickson got traded. And how accurate the model was at predicting their totals last year. You got them in front of
I
you,
have
Chris?
last year's totals in front of me, yeah. Which one do you...
Okay. Do Pelosi.
Pelosi,
first.
you had projected for 9 goals and 16 assists last season.
No, in the USHL.
Oh, let me get...
Oh, sorry, that's 2 years ago. Sorry, it was 2 years ago. But anyway, 2 years ago, it was almost bang on for both of them. So when I look at this model and what it projects for Casper Nason, this is what he should be putting up. And if he doesn't, that means that, to me, that he didn't play as well as he's capable of playing. He's not, his development curve isn't going up the way it should be going.
Right. And I guess another way to kind of, because like you said, the model isn't perfect. Nason's a great example where you had him projected for this past season at, what did I say, 6 and 10. He came in at 6 and 4. So basically what that means is 6 times he found a teammate and the teammate didn't find the back of the net. Like those are stats that aren't, and we just talked about how bad the team was overall. So like,
yeah,
your model can't predict or doesn't take into account the team going 0 for 3 months. Like it just doesn't. So to be off by a few assists, I mean, bang on the goals. That kind of tells me the model's working. So, but with Nason, hopefully it's a little bit happier of a season. I'd be very shocked if they go through something similar and he doesn't transfer, even just for his own mentality. But we mentioned North Dakota earlier, and I think we're all pumped to see Will Zellers make the jump from the USHL to North Dakota.
Well, yeah, it's, look, even in let's go back to the trade if we can.
Sure.
What was the total of the trade again? It was Charlie Coyle.
I will pull up the full details on Puckpedia here because
I'm trying to remember.
I mean,
Kenny's got it under his hat. What is it, Kenny?
I don't know. Let's see. You read it? Can you get it?
No, I can't read it.
I can't read. There's the Avalanche. I mean, obviously, there was a pick involved too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what pick it was. Wasn't it the 5th round
pick? It
pick?
was the 2026 5th round pick and Charlie Coyle.
5th round pick.
For Middlestead,
okay.
A 2025 second, and Zellers.
Right. So the 2025 second was Pedersen, was it not? No, it was Moore.
I believe it ended up being Moore. I will go confirm that, though. I mean, I think we all know that the only reason why they got Zellers is because they took on Middlestead.
Right. So I think I think basically it was, well, first of all, they had to take back Middlestead because Colorado couldn't make the cap work. So they had to pay for it. Now, whether you want to think it was Zellers for Coyle and the fifth, or whether you think it was a second for Coyle and the fifth, it doesn't really matter. With Moore and with Zellers, they've got two potentially excellent prospects out of
and
this.
they got more.
I don't think anybody.
Sorry.
It was more.
So they used the 51st overall, which they got from St. Louis via Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Edmonton. And then it was the 61st overall that they used on Pettersson, which it was Carolina's pick they got from Colorado.
Right. So it was either way you want to break it down. One of those guys came back to take the Middlestat contract. Doesn't matter. With Will Zellers, you got a guy who set a record in the USHL for goals in a season, 44. My only question about Zellers, people knock Matthew Poitras for his size. Okay. Will Zellers is 5'10", 175 pounds soaking wet, something like that. Eventually, they're going to knock him. I think the difference is Zellers has more speed. I think he has more awareness, on-ice awareness, than Poitras does. But he doesn't have Matthew Poitras's playmaking skills or his vision. One thing Zellers will do is he will beat you.
Yeah.
When it comes to scoring. He will beat you. If I'm looking at everybody in the Bruins prospect pool, even with James Higgins, I think Will Zellers is the best pure goal scorer in the system. You guys agree?
I would go so far as to agree with that statement. Yeah, and he'll have other playmakers around him too. It'll be interesting to see if he plays on a line with what's his name, the guy that I think Calgary took him, Reshny.
Yes. Cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It'll be interesting if they're on a line together.
It'll be interesting. One thing we know is in North Dakota, he's going to learn a 200-foot game. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can all agree that sometimes North Dakota will stunt an offensive player's production. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
I don't think
that's
he
the best
would
way of putting it.
Yeah, I don't think he would put up the production in North Dakota that he would put up in, let's say, Boston College.
Yeah, why not? Because everyone else is going there.
Right. So, yeah, the model projects him on 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 points in 34 games. That's not a heck of a lot. Considering the team, the way they play, and the way they coach their players, and that he's a freshman, I think that's not bad.
I would definitely take.
It's actually pretty good.
I would take that season from him, especially going into the new league for freshman season. I mean, I know some people are trying to say that, he should be in the NHL and the Bruins in like 2 or 3 years. And I'm just like, let's see his first year in the NCAA first.
Yeah. Can you pull up Bob M's comment? Because this is so this is definitely something that I touched on a few times. It says, I was hoping the Bees would draft Aiden Park. He and Zellers were great together at Green Bay. Yeah, it was like I wasn't alive for Jordan Pippen, but like that's kind of how I would imagine it. It was truly unbelievable to watch the way that they were playing together. Also, I do believe that they both played at Shattuck together, so this was not like their first season, but it was so exciting to watch these two together, and I'm glad that Aiden Park ended up getting drafted because I know it was like the final 2 picks, Edmonton, and he wasn't even at the draft in like a suit. He was just there to support his friends, and then he ends up getting called on stage with shorts and a hoodie on to grab his jersey from Edmonton. But
Yeah.
like Dom said, when I watch Will Zellers, a word I like to use is smooth. The way he's able to stick handle when he's at that top speed is just unbelievable. He's such a just smooth. Like I don't know how else to say it, but when he gets to that top speed, he's able to make so many moves, and I'm excited to see what he does at North Dakota this season.
Just his edge work, Kenny, on taking players to the outside and then cutting back on the inside. His edges are so, the word you use, so smooth that it's almost like he's skating in a straight line. You see some guys when they try to do that, take him to the outside, cut back in, that they're choppy, or Milan Lucic, which is a great example of that. His choppy strides, but Zellers makes it look so effortless. He's so strong on those edges. Like you said, smooth.
Yeah. It's just going to be interesting to see how his game continues to develop in that first season, regardless of how he performs against the model. Like you said, just in a completely different way of playing the game. And, there's definitely something to be excited about there, but when the time comes. So,
Now back to what Kenny was saying for a sec about Park. Can you just imagine Zellers and Park together in North Dakota? The coaching staff would be having fits, man, because it's like, no, that's not the way we want you to play. and which brings to the point where we shouldn't worry about Zeller's production this year because he's not going to be. I don't want to say he's not going to be allowed to play his offensive game the way we saw in the USHL last season, but he's going to be made more aware of what his defensive responsibilities are. And it goes back to what I was saying about Grunwald. When you want a player to pick it up offensively, you don't want to see their defensive game suffer. Well, it works the other way around with forwards too, where hopefully when they work on their defensive game, it doesn't affect their offensive game, but 99% of the time it does.
Yeah.
Trevor Zegers.
There you go.
That's a good example. Yeah.
There you go.
Real quick, I will pull up Craig Eagle's comment. He said earlier, have a great show. And then Dom, he asked if you have any updates on Dylan McKinnon, whether there's a contract. And then he said that Chandler will have a big year. So.
Yeah, we'll get to Chandler. He's on this list. Nothing more on McKinnon than what we talked about the other day, Craig. So the word is, and Craig mentioned it on your show last week, I believe it was, that the Bruins were inviting McKinnon to rookie camp. I had heard that they had offered him an AHL contract. For those that don't know, McKinnon played with the Moncton Wildcats last season, and for a large part of the season was Loke Johansson's defensive partner in Moncton. And those two together, I'm actually writing a story about it. McKinnon, he hits like a Mack truck. One scout said to me, I actually got it right here, he's the kind of guy you want on your bench when things get gritty, not flashy, but he'll block shots, finish checks, and never backs down. I looked at his fight card last night. He doesn't back down from anybody. him and Loki together would cause opposing forwards a lot of pain, and there are two guys you could use on the blue line in the AHL when these guys start coming up and are going to need some protection.
And he's a right shot. We know they need right shot D. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's transition over to our BC crew. We'll bang them all out in order here. We talked about a couple of them earlier, but Oscar Jelvik, last year, you had him coming into the season. You had him at 18 goals, 36 assists. He missed that by quite a bit here. But there's a reason why.
Yeah. He got injured, I think 7 games into the season.
Yeah.
Where they tried to make him a centerman, and he's not a centerman. Well, he is, but that's not where he's his best. He's done his best work on the wing, even in BC. Came back early from injury, moved him back to the wing, and I've been told numerous times he shouldn't be playing. He shouldn't be playing. He shouldn't be playing. And then eventually, they finally shut him down. I think 20 games into the season.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I firmly believe if he was healthy all year, he would have met the production and he would have turned pro at the end of the season.
Yeah. I know we talked a lot about him because of the injury, and then obviously they benched him for the injury, but I'm looking for, hopefully he's got that clean bill of health for this season. And, if the production's there this year, I don't see him not going pro when this season is over.
No, and like I said, I hope he's paired with Andre Gassot, and that I'm really hoping Dean Letourneau is the third guy on that line.
That would be a good line
an all Bruins line. Yeah, because I could see Jelvik on the left wing, I could see Gassot in the middle, and I could see Letourneau on the right wing.
Yeah. So you have for Jelvik the projections for this year that production should be bouncing back, right?
Yeah. Not to what it projected for him a year ago. He hasn't played hockey in
that helps.
Right? So he hasn't played in
9.
What will it be? 10 months?
Say 9 or 10 months.
9 months?
Yeah. He hasn't played healthy in almost 11. So
almost a year. Well, yeah. So that'll take him some time.
Let's see. You have him 39 points? Is that what you told me?
Yeah, 39 points in 34 games. I should have calculated them to 36 because I think BC is going to be playing a few more games than 34.
Let's see. Andre Gassot, you want him as his line mate on the wing or down the middle rather?
No, I want Gassot in the middle.
Gassot in the middle. They're both listed as center's left wing. So, all right.
Yeah,
but Gassot's definitely the better pivot.
Yeah.
So, how do you see his projection coming out? Because last year you had him at 16 and 21.
And he finished at what?
15 and 15?
15 and 15. Yeah. So he was down on the assists, but probably because he didn't have Jelvik with him. I don't know. Look, he's a big boy who's improved in every aspect of his game, including the skating, which 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago now, was a question mark. Whether it's improved enough, I don't know. Kenny can probably agree with me and say maybe not.
Yeah. Something that kind of just intrigues me is his shot, not necessarily his
hitting. Yeah. But if you're going to be a centerman, right? especially when you're a centerman for the Bruins and they're expected to be like a third defenseman, at least before the Sturm era. We don't know what Sturm's going to do. You've got to be able to skate. So, which is why I say he's probably better suited as a wing. You know, I've seen him play his offside, play the right wing. He can do it. So maybe have Letourneau in the middle and Gassot on the right wing. The one thing about Gassot is his offense has remained steady through three seasons of BC. 29, 29 to 30 points. It hasn't changed.
At least he's consistent.
He's steady Eddie he just steady Eddie with the offense while other parts of his game have improved. For 3 years I've had doubts on whether he could turn pro. I have maybe that little a doubt now. I think at the end of the year he will turn pro and he'll be in Providence. It may be like a Ty Gallagher or Jake Schmaltz situation where it's an American Hockey League contract for the year to see how he handles it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it would also depend too, because if he's able to turn pro and keep Jelvik with him, that's some chemistry that can carry over. That helps with the feelings, the comfort feelings, and just helps things translate over a little bit more. So, you know, that'll probably help that first year pro if they turn pro together. The next guy on our list has probably caused the most conversation in the last, I'd say, 11 to 12 months, ever since they drafted him.
The bust?
Yeah, he's gone from the best prospect in their system to a bust to unknown to who cares to, well, you know, obviously at 6'7", you can't miss him anyway. But Dean Letourneau, last year you had him projected at 6 goals and 11 assists, came nowhere near that. And you and I preached all season the patience and to watch the rest of his game because he was somewhere he should not have been.
And let's not forget, last year when we talked about this at length, I said, I don't have a model that works from Canadian prep school up to the college level.
That's true, yes.
So this was all trial and error. And remember what I said earlier, it takes 2 to 3 years to figure out if the model actually works.
And you don't have any other player to try to project it on.
No. So, look, I think we saw when BC put out their roster, he's at 6'7", 228 pounds now. So he's put on 14, 15 pounds. We saw in this podcast with Evan Marinovsky that he likes food. So let's hope this is the right weight that he put on.
Yeah.
I think Kenny mentioned it earlier. There's 2 different kinds of weight. There's
fat,
the proper weight, and there's fat, right? So let's hope it's the right weight. But by all accounts, he's been putting in the work. He has really, really been putting in the work. I remember this coming season should have been his first year in college. This should be his freshman year. So I project him to 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points. Is that bad? Is that really bad if we're seeing other aspects of his game, like using his size to outmuscle players, getting to the inside, getting to the dirty areas, improve defensively? Is 18 points bad? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I know you and I talked about it. Kenny, what do you think? And what would you reasonably want to see from Letourneau this year? Because we all know how he was also used last year, bottom six, fourth line center. He got no power play time. Like, where would your mindset be at with that projection?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it happens, you're excited. But honestly, Chris, I'm kind of like you, where I'm not putting any point expectations. You want it to be the right points. You want it to be just better than last season, even if it is you're expecting a big step up, it being his second season. But I just wanted to talk about a little bit. I was watching Tage Thompson back in the day. I was obviously very young when he was at UConn and then at the World Championship or at the World Juniors or and playing for the United States National Team Development Program. They're both very tall players, and something that you watch with Tage Thompson, especially back then, I'm sure you could pull up highlights, is he was growing, and it was just very hard to watch. He was out there like a baby giraffe. He was just not very coordinated, and I don't see that with Dean Letourneau. He looks like he knows his size, and he plays very well within that. Also, something that I wish to see more this season is him shoot the puck, because I've seen his shot. It's incredible. He needs to do it more. Obviously, 0 goals last season. But I told Chris earlier, like, you don't ever like hearing about injuries, but it kind of helps piece the picture together a little bit more, where you could be like, hey, listen, this was an injury. He's playing a year above probably where he should have been. Like, let's give the kid a break, because you saw how quick everybody was so excited about Dean Letourneau, and then December hit, and he was the worst thing that Don Sweeney's ever done. So,
and that's saying something, because it overruled the 2015 draft.
Exactly. Yeah. Trust me, people are waiting, and this is what sucks about being watching other Bruins fans, is that they want Dean Letourneau to fail so they can point at Sweeney and laugh at him. And I think I watched that same interview with Evan Marinofsky, and he says he does a good job of blocking it out. He doesn't care. He's working on himself, and it's going to take time. So if he could keep that mindset, it's very important not to be on Twitter, because I've seen some comments that even I'm like, damn, like that, that's pretty heavy, like for a kid that's in college. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what he could do next season as well at BC.
Yeah, I think the truth serum being given, I think everybody would say, yeah, he should have been in the USHL. He should not have been at BC. But you can't go back and change it.
It's funny you mentioned you can't, but it's funny you mentioned Tage Thompson and resembling a giraffe on skates. I saw Dean play for the St. Mary's Lincolns in Junior B, just down the highway here, 10-minute drive. When he played in the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, it's just Junior B. But like you said, he looked like a giraffe. He's really put in the work on his skating over the years. So a testament to him for that he knows what he needs to do to eventually get to pro hockey or the NHL level. It's just a matter of time with him. The broken hand didn't help, but I refuse to use it as an excuse. I'm going to wait to see what happens this year.
And also, let's see where he lands in the lineup too. But from one big boy to another big boy who looks like a giraffe on ice, learning how to walk, Christian Kostadinsky. His skating has improved to go from where it was to where it is. It's improved significantly and still has a long way to go. But at 6'6", 220, he'll bring some physicality to that blue line at BC. And honestly, the last year with Dubuque, you weren't that far off with your projections. For a big boy like that, 3 goals and 16 assists for your projections. He actually landed with 6 goals and 10 assists. So that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I hope that his skating has improved, because if it hasn't, was he at development camp?
He was.
Yes.
Yep.
How did he look?
He still overthinks it when this drill is a skating drill. Like, you can see improvements to his skating when he's not focused on his skating. If that makes sense.
Well, because it's
It's still not great. It's still not great.
He's going to get exposed big time at the college level if he hasn't made the necessary improvements.
Yes. That's what I'm looking
You guys know what BC's competition is.
Yeah.
Right?
Every night.
He's every night, right? If it is up here in the head, Chris, and he doesn't get it together, he is going to get exposed and lit up.
I mean, he still
Big
might,
time.
but it's
that said, at 6'6" and 220 pounds,
he'll lay a
he can be mean to play against. He can be very mean. Dean Letourneau knocked him on his ass at development
He
camp.
did. Yep.
Was it because Dean out-muscled him, or because Christian's weak on his skates?
I don't think his skating ability helped him in the scenario. I think there was a little bit of, Dean was just better in the battle. Like there was definitely a skill break there. But I mean, if I'll say this, in that situation, if the skating is the differential, he's got big problems.
Not that it really matters, but I would love to know if there was ever a time that Christian Kostadinski got hit by somebody taller than him on the ice. Not that it's like, that's a selling point or anything. Like it's obviously not a good thing, but I'm just like, I wonder, because 6'6", I mean, Jesus, when is he going to go against somebody that's taller than him? But another thing I wanted to point out was I watched clips of him last year at training or at dev camp, and then caught a few games of Dubuque at the end of the season, and I could tell that his skating had improved. Now that's the USHL. Now you're jumping to another level, but just the willingness, just how much he's grown over less than a year. It's encouraging. At least it shows that he's coachable. It shows that it can get done if he puts in the work. So that's something that is promising. And man, if you're like one of these underage kids, you do not want to be lined up against Christian Kostadinski flying down the wing. If he could catch you, that's gonna be an ugly hit.
He was more,
and not only that, Kenny. But not only that. It's not just can he do it at this level. It's an elite conference with elite players that he's going against. It's not like he was playing Miami, right? Once a month, where he likely isn't going to get exposed. He's going up against elite players in that conference, and he's got to get his act together. He's going to get exposed. Now, the model has him scoring a goal and getting 8 assists, and he should be able to score 1 goal with some of the forwards that can feed him pucks from at the point, and he should be able to get more than 8 assists with having to give the puck to Hagens or Stiga or Yelvik or Gasso, or you might even throw Letourneau in there if he is like,
Yeah, I
should be able to get that easily on that team.
I will say, since you were asking about it too, when he was at development camp, his skating, he was much more upright than he used to be. Like, I think one of the bigger issues that he had was he was always lower, like bending over and almost hunchback. And it definitely seems like he's been making a concerted effort to be more upright and to not, be as low given his size. I mean, it's an advantage. And it just seemed like he's, like Kenny said, he's been putting in a lot of work for it. The big question is it going to be enough? And I think to Boston's benefit, if he can't do it at Boston College, you're not really going to put a lot of time into him going forward. Like you've seen what you need to see until now. This year, I don't view it the same as Dean Letourneau last year. You knew Dean Letourneau had a higher ceiling, but you might see this year at BC that Konstantinsky's at his ceiling. That's what you might learn.
Yeah. And for a 7th round pick, it was worth taking the gamble on.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, just to see how he's grown from where he was to where he is now, it just shows too that you know that your organization is doing the right things to help players develop. Sometimes a player who falls to the 7th round just doesn't have the ceiling to get where you need them to go. But everything's a ceiling for 5'10" James Higgins, because after 6'6" and 6'7" skaters here, 5'10", apparently weighing in at 185 now. He's packed on a little bit more.
It's now 193.
Oh, 193. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, 11 goals, 26 assists at BC. He's going into his 2nd season. He was a point per game last year. Do you see him remaining at that pace or improving upon it?
Over that. This is his team. As I wrote, he's not just going to drive the line. He's going to drive the team. Everything's going to run through him. The number 1 power play, number 1 offensive starts. All of that is all going to run through James Higgins. And I don't think anything could be better in preparing him for Boston than this season at BC, because it's his team. I see 21 goals, 28 assists, 49 points in 36 games. That's a tremendous season. That's Hobie Baker Award worthy season. And he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he fell 6 spots in the draft. He's going to be pissed.
Yeah, and not only that, he's got a chip on his shoulder in the NCAA too. He wants a national championship. He won't come out and say it, but that's what he wants to play for.
Yeah. I'd be thrilled if he has that kind of season.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I'll tell you what, we've talked about it a few times on this show. You watch, especially, we talked about it for mainly goaltenders, but guys that play at the World Juniors, they typically translate well to the NCAA tournament because they represent their country. They play at the highest stage. And watching him last year, sitting in my room watching those games, I'm like, I laugh and I'm like, man, I would kill for the Bruins to get a guy like James Higgins. And then you actually get him and you're like, wow, this could be something special. I honestly thought it was disrespectful, the amount of picks that he dropped and people's reactions, right? We talk about 1 year ago, he was the consensus number 1 pick, and he slides down to 7, and he looks like he's excited to be a Boston Bruin, which you'll love to see, but that chip on his shoulder, he looks like a kid that would take that and run with it. Hey, remember what you said. Remember dropping 6 picks? And I would also like to point out that he played very well in the World Juniors, but he also played very well in the NCAA tournament last season. He scored that game-winning goal against Bentley where Boston College was struggling. Ryan Leonard didn't look like Ryan Leonard. Gabe Perreault didn't look like Gabe Perreault, but James Higgins looked like James Higgins, and he put that team on his back, scored that goal, and avoided a very, very ugly loss if they lost to Bentley.
Oh.
So
yeah, that would have been ugly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we thought the Cornell Michigan State upset was bad. If Bentley upset BC, that would have been an ugly way to go out.
Yeah. All right. I want to speed this up a little bit because we still.
I loved the Cornell.
Go ahead.
I loved the Cornell win, though.
Yes,
I loved
that. Was beautiful. I do want to speed this up a little bit because we still have to touch on some of the Providence folks here, and we have one more guy at BC and Will Moore. And then a few others to get to, and then we can dive into Providence. Although we may just have to have you back on, Dom, and go over Providence separate because that's its own conversation.
Well, if we can whip through these, I'll go take care of the grandson real quick, and maybe I can give you a little bit more time after 7. if I'm just allowed to take a 5 or 10 minute break after we whip through these.
We can allow that, Dom. We definitely can.
If you guys want to keep going.
Well,
yeah.
So you said Will Moore?
Yeah, let's go to Will Moore and we'll get through these and then we'll go from there.
So here's the thing with Moore. Obviously, he had a great year with the national team, right? I've got him projected at 10 goals, 18 assists, 28 points over 36 games. I'll accept that easily for a freshman. Yeah. Let's not forget, this guy was projected as a first rounder. I didn't think he would be there when Boston picked. A lot of people had him in the late first round. I did. Wasn't on my radar for the Boston Bruins. Question is, 6'3", 181 pounds. Skills there, the tools are there, the attitude is there, skating's there, the shots, everything is there. Where does he fit into the BC lineup? Is he with James Higgins and Higgins goes to the wing? Is he on the second line with Yelbick and Gasso, which drops Letourneau down to the third? See where my projections, where I said at the beginning, without knowing the lineup, I can't be 100% accurate. But I would absolutely accept 28 points out of Moore in his freshman year. I actually don't think he'll get there.
Really?
I'd be fine with 20 points in his first year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be okay. Again, it's also going to come down to the lineup because, like you said, if he ends up being third line or more on the wing, that'll change the projection a little bit. And I mean, I just sit here. I watched him at development camp, and I'm sitting here going, why did he fall so far? And the only thing that only thing that I kept hearing about was potentially because of his attitude, because of, you know, something along those lines. I don't remember all of it, but that was the thing I was hearing, you know, his effort level and things of that nature. But I tell you, there was none of that concern at development camp. Like, he was getting mad at himself for losing face-offs in face-off drills, even ones where you're like, you weren't even supposed to win that face-off. He's getting mad that he's losing it. Like, there was a lot of give up.
Is that something that could be a concern, getting upset over losing a face-off? Like, is that something that somebody could be concerned about and say that, hey, maybe that is attitude? I don't know. I'm asking.
Well, that's a good question, because the right player, Kenny, will get upset, but doesn't show it on the ice and goes out and works on it. Guys like Sidney Crosby and Patrice Bergeron, those type of hockey players, they pick something to work on every offseason. Patrice Bergeron wasn't always great at faceoffs. It's something he chose to work on. Sidney Crosby wasn't always great at faceoffs. It was something he chose to work on. They pick one thing, and that's what they key on to improve on every season. So the right player is the one that keeps his emotions in check on the ice and then does something about it off the ice to improve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so maybe that's something that teams saw. I don't know if that necessarily warrants him dropping very far. I remember writing an article like in the middle of last season where the Bruins had the I think between 17th, 16th pick. I think it was after like a decent streak. And I put Will Moore in that projection, and I noted that he was sliding very fast, and I couldn't understand why, because I would watch his games and the offense would flow through him. He would always touch the puck. Regardless if he's getting an assist or not, the play was always through him, especially below the goal line. I felt like I would watch a shift of his. It would be 2 minutes long for the national team development program, and he touched the puck 10 times. It was truly remarkable to see, and I'm like, I can't put my finger on why he's dropping so far. But like I said, seeing him below the goal line play, just it's incredible, and I hope that he's able to show that to everybody else next season at BC, because if that translates, he's going to be a scary player.
Especially,
I can say this: if a player has an attitude problem, whether it's Jesse Gabriel, Jared Knight, Ryan Spooner, so on and so forth, 99 times out of 100, I would have heard something about it. And I wouldn't come out and say it, but I would hint at it. Although Chris has lured me in to tell the Jesse Gabriel story countless number of times. And crickets on more. Absolute crickets.
That's what I'm saying. Is any time that he looked like he was getting upset, it was never an upset where you look at it and go, that worries me. It was usually I knew I should have done that different. Or sometimes you give the coach a hard time of like, hey, you favored him on that drop. You put it on his side of the dot. Like, how am I supposed to win that? Like, there was definitely a lot more to it than just saying, oh, he got upset by it. Because if you write down, oh, a player got upset at losing faceoffs, like you said, Kenny, there's a number of different ways it can go. But when I was watching it, no part of me ever went, oh, that's going to worry me about his attitude right there. So it just watching him drop and what you got at that pick, that could be the seal of the draft down the road.
Well, I know one experience or like one moment doesn't tell the full story about a player's attitude or anything, but it was nice to see both Higgins and Moore, like you said earlier, still decide, hey, I'm going out there. I don't care if I came in at 4 a.m. or whatever it was. I still want to go out and play. So that's promising. And again, I'm going to take your word on it because you were there and I wasn't, but I just wanted to ask because, like, again, you would have to explain it. I wasn't there to see it. So,
exactly.
I hear that and I'm like, oh, I don't know what this looked like, but if if you're saying that it wasn't necessarily the way that I said it, then that's great. Player getting upset about his performance and wanting to do better, like, who doesn't want that on their team? So,
and that's why I'm saying, like, if you read the report, like if you're just reading a reporter's article about the player getting upset, there's all those different ways to interpret it. And if you're not watching it, then I could see why you might look to pass on that player. But let's move on, just because we could talk about Will Moore and BC all day. We already touched on Groenwald at Quinnipiac, but we did not touch on Chris Pelosi, his teammate. Dom, how do you see his projection for Kenny's next door neighbor in Quinnipiac?
How did he come in last year?
Let's see. Last year you had Pelosi projected for 9-16. He came in at 13-11.
So 25 versus 24 points.
Came in right on target, just a little bit of a different shift.
I love Pelosi. Here's my issue with Pelosi. If Higgins and Patra and Mitten, and let's not forget that Lindholm's there for the next 7 years or 6 years. If they project to be what if they turn out to be what they're projected to be, there's no room for Chris Pelosi down the middle. None. With the Bruins. What I would love to see is Pelosi get some time on the wing. But let's face it, Quinnipiac doesn't have to do that because they don't work for the Boston Bruins. The Bruins could nicely ask. He didn't play wing at all last season. He didn't play wing in the USHL. I don't know if he played wing before that or not, but I would love to see it. That said, His game is absolutely suited for the wing, though. Kenny, you've seen him live. You agree?
Yeah. I mean, just I watch him, and honestly, I absolutely agree. He's a physical player. He's a bigger player. I mean, he's just he's one of those players that just he goes and gets the puck. He's relentless on that.
Yeah.
It's just incredible to watch. And I would like to say about his path to where he is now, right? He left, I believe, Mount St. Charles and decided to go to the USHL, ends up getting cut, and then
Yeah.
has to go to the NAHL, has a very good season, or was it, I think it's just one, not even a full season there, and then he gets his rights traded, and then he's up in the USHL. And then this season, you
Yeah.
just see that different mentality. He started off the season well for a freshman, a little bit slow, and then he gets cut from the United States camp for the World Juniors, and he comes back like an animal. If Chris Pelosi doesn't play like the way he played towards the end of the season, Quinnipiac probably does not make it to the NCAA tournament, because they did end up making it just at large bid or whatever it is. I think at
Yeah.
large, because they did not win. They rarely do win the ECAC, but they ended up making it to the playoffs, and a lot of that was Chris Pelosi and the way that he played.
Yeah. After January, he was lights out.
Unbelievable.
Lights out. Yeah. So, he's projected on 17 goals, 15 assists, 32 points. It's just shy of a point per game. I really do hope that he gets some time on the wing, because I think that that's where he's most dangerous.
Yeah, and to your point, he's going to have very little shot at anything down the middle going forward right at this point with the way the Bruins project down the middle. So for the sake of his game, showing that kind of adversity will definitely be helpful. That being said, if he still goes out and has a hell of a season as a center, you still can bring him into the fold and have a tradable asset there.
Yeah.
If he projects out to continue that growth. So
I will say, though, I truly believe if not the Bruins, but if Chris Pelosi went into Rand Pecknold's office, especially before the season, right now, and asks, can I get time on the wing some point in practice or somewhere so I could show what I could do at that wing position, I believe Rand Pecknold would allow him to have that opportunity. Not saying that it would be for the full season, not saying that it would even be in games, but I believe that Rand Pecknold is the type of coach that would give Pelosi the opportunity if he asked for it.
Okay. You would know better than I would.
Across the pond, as they say, the Bruins have one prospect at BC's rival. So Jonathan Morello at BU, let's see, last year,
what do you mean rival? Morello. They're gonna destroy BC this year.
Hey, that new Russian goaltender they have is definitely a step up for them. So as long as he knows when to go out on the ice this year, they should be fine.
Stupid.
They'll be fine.
Last year you had Morello pegged for 18 goals and 26 assists. He came in at
8 goals and 20 assists.
8 and 20.
Yeah, real disappointing. The biggest, I don't know if he's the biggest. There might be one.
I think Dean Letourneau is probably one of the bigger ones too.
No. To Letourneau's first year, I would say Morello's the biggest disappointment.
Just based on the projection, that's all.
Yeah. Well, he's an offensive player. No, I don't even want. He's an excellent two-way player with a lot of offense at every level he's ever been to until he got to the USHL. That said, absolutely love his defensive game. Absolutely love it. Chris, we showed a lot of highlights at some of the goals he set up last year, and they were magical. Some of them. And
Oh yeah.
why on such a good team, because Dubuque was a very, very good team, didn't it pan out? That said, the model projects him at 6 goals, which isn't a lot, and 10 assists. But when you look at it, 16 points over 34 games is pretty good for a freshman, especially with his solid defensive contributions. You can put him out against the other team's best. At least you could at every level up until now. I want to see that progress with BU, where he can go out against James Hagen's and Hagen's line and be that defensive specialist. I want to see if he can handle that.
Yeah, and he's also one, like you said, he's put up offense everywhere he's gone. So like he could actually do better than the model projects just because he has, a higher level of teammate around him all around. Yeah. And it's I don't want to say, he'll play better at a higher level because, his game is better than it was than his teammates around him at the USHL. It's just he knows what to do. It's just sometimes, if the teammate's in the wrong position, like if the teammate doesn't know what he's supposed to do, like he can't predict it better. So like you said, he's setting up teammates with beautiful plays. In BU, he's going to have guys who can finish better. He's going to have guys who know where they're supposed to be better. It's just a better all-around experience for him. This is one where the model might under-project him a little bit.
I don't know if it's...
Not by a lot.
If he reaches it, great. But I want to see that defensive game continue at the next level. It's one thing to do it in junior A. It's another thing to do it at the USHL. And it's still another thing to do it at the NCAA level. If he can maintain that, and we've seen it across 3 different levels now, that he's that strong defensively, usually it continues when you get to the pro level. And that's what I want to see, because at least even if the offense isn't there or isn't where it should be, you at least have a guy who's capable of playing on the 3rd or 4th line in a shutdown role that could provide you a little bit of offense.
Which is never a bad thing to have. So let's swing over University of Minnesota. They have Beckett Hendrickson. This is someone that we talked a lot about last year during the season. You had him projected for 11 and 16.
Well short.
And he finished the year for University of Minnesota well short of that with 3 and 9.
Yeah.
So probably another one on that disappointing list. But overall, he did show flashes in that season.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I'm not as disappointed with Hendrickson as I am with Morello is because Hendrickson ended up playing on the 4th line. When he was moved up, he showed he could produce. He got a few games moving up because of injuries and stuff, and did well. But he also was on one of the best 4th lines in college hockey. They were dynamite. They were fantastic. They drove play. Any one of those 3 guys at different times in the game drove that line, and Hendrickson was one of them. Relentless on the forecheck, puck pursuit, winning puck battles, all that stuff. So that was a good year for Hendrickson to show that he could do that at a higher level. Now, I want to see him up in the lineup and find his offensive game again, because it projects him at 9 goals, 14 assists for this year, 22 points. I'll take that from a guy that's a 3rd or 4th liner at the pro level.
Yeah, and we talked about it all year. It's just showing the versatility that you'd like to see from a player as they continue to develop, and hopefully he does get that time higher up in the
Yeah.
lineup. Kenny, did you have any thoughts on Hendrickson before we move on here?
Not really. I think Dom covered it very well.
Whoop, Kenny.
It's I think the context is very important, as it is with every player. But playing on the fourth line in the Big Ten means that you're going to be playing against most likely not the most insanely skilled players, but you're going to be playing against players with experience. That's where they put a lot of those players in the Big Ten. And again, the Big Ten is like Hockey East, where every player is talented. Every player is going to be playing their role very, very well. There's not a night off in the Big Ten. So hearing that, all the stuff that Dom said, and 3 goals and 9 assists as a freshman on the fourth line. I mean, it's good. It's a great starting point for me. I'm excited to see where it goes for this season.
If we saw that from Dean Letourneau at BC last year, we would have been way happier than 0-3.
No, the Bruins fans still would have been pissed.
Yeah.
We would have been happier.
No, if he was, he had to win the Hobie Baker.
That was not a collective we,
if
Kenny.
he didn't win the Hobie Baker, Bruins fans would have been pissed. But we would have been happy.
No, even then they would have, because Bruins fans wanted to win the Hobie Baker and the Mike Richter.
No, yeah, I mean either way they're gonna rip on their goalie anyway.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, that would have been great.
Unless he landed the backup job. But so Ryan Walsh will be going back to Cornell. Let's see. Last year you had Walsh projected for 17 and 18. He fell just a little bit short overall. Nailed it on the goals, 17 goals, and then was only at 14 assists. So you fell about 3 shy from the projection here.
Still 31.
We talked a lot about him last
31
year.
31 points in 36 games for a sophomore. Gotta love it.
Yeah. His game was very good last year. You and I talked a lot about him, and every time we talked about him, it was just the consistency factor.
Yeah, it's why I told Kenny I absolutely love Cornell beating
Michigan State
last season. So I refer to Walsh as most quiet, effective player in the pool. I absolutely love him. Now, he's 6'1", 187 pounds. He used to be more of a playmaker than a goal scorer, and it's kind of shifted over his 2 years at college, where he's become more of a goal scorer than a playmaker. Plays center, plays wing. Another one of those multi-positional players that the Bruins love. My biggest question with Walsh this season, excuse me, is whether he turns pro at the end of the year. Because I think he's done after this season. I really do. I don't think there's anything else that he can accomplish at the college level. Project him at what? 21 goals, 18 assists, 39 points. Improvement from last year.
With that kind of improvement from last year and the improvement you saw from his freshman to his sophomore season, I mean, like you said, at that point, what else does he have left to do at Cornell other than graduate? Go ahead, get him into Providence, see where he can get you in Providence, and then, start trying to figure out how can he help you at the NHL level.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
you're good.
Go ahead, Kenny.
All right. I'll just say.
No.
I'll say Dom loves him. I hate Ryan Walsh. My God, if this kid beats the Bobcats single-handedly again, I might cry. I sit in the crowd.
I saw that look of concern on your face, Dom.
I sit in the crowd and I say one thing: watch this guy. Watch this guy. Do not let him get a shot off. and somehow he's always open and he's always scoring. Another thing that I hate / love about Ryan Walsh is he shows up to the big games. Oh my God, he beat the
Always. Always.
You were just talking about Michigan State and the role he played in that game. He played a humongous role against the Bobcats in the ECAC tournament, and then played another huge role in the championship game to bring Cornell to the NCAA tournament. He is such a gamer. It is unbelievable. And when he plays against these top teams in the ECAC, he's always recording points. He's always on the stat sheet. It is so hard.
Didn't he score twice in the He scored twice in the championship game, if I remember right.
Yeah,
No.
you didn't keep him off the score sheet. It is, like I said, I'm sitting there. I'm just like, watch this guy, please. Do not, you face guard him. Make sure he does not get a shot off. And then he gets 1 or 2 shots, and then it's 1 or 2 goals against. It is just, man, you're like, you cheer because you're a Bruins fan, but
do you think he could hit? Do you think he could hit 40 points, Kenny?
It depends.
I got him right on the cusp.
It depends. It's a new season. Cornell also had a major coaching change. Their coach that was there for, I believe, around 20, 30 years just left as well. And I was like, I wonder what Ryan Walsh is going to do. There
was a lot of talk about him leaving or entering the transfer portal once.
Yeah. So again,
I don't know. I don't think
it depends. It depends who he's playing with, but he is a gamer, and I'm not worried. If Cornell makes it to the NCAA tournament, I wouldn't worry.
I love him. I just obviously he's another guy like Pelosi. There isn't going to be any room for him in the middle, but he's a right wing. He plays the right side.
And they need right wing.
Where the Bruins are short. I mean, we'll cover the Providence guys in a bit. Both wings are short. There's a lot of centermen on this team, and they're going to have to go. They're going to have to move over to the wing.
So, I would just like to ask, do you think that these guys can play center throughout college and then make that transition when they get to Providence, or is this something that you want earlier, the better?
I would like to see it earlier. I mean, I can't think of anybody on the Providence. Well, no, Don's Lachmelis. Okay. Never played wing in the J20. I never watched him in Latvia, so I can't say for there. But when he went to Sweden and played in the J20, he played center. When he played in any international game for Latvia, it was always center. When he went to college, it was always at center. Never had time. His first game in Providence was at center. When did he take off? When they moved him to left wing with Matthew Patra. And I'm going to say this now, and you go look at my pinned tweet on Twitter with everybody's numbers while playing with Matthew Patra. They go up, including David Pasternak's, Morgan Geekies, Pavel Zacha's. All better numbers while playing with Matthew Patra, and he did it to Don's Lachmelis. That was the first time I'd ever, in 3 years of watching Lachmelis, 4 years of watching Don's Lachmelis play hockey, that I ever seen him play wing. So can they, to answer your question, Kenny, I guess it's possible depending on who your centerman is.
Fair enough. We got 3 more, and then we'll take a quick break so that we'll let Dom take a quick break so you can go take care of a couple things, and then we will cover Providence. We'll start with Mason Langenbrunner at Harvard University, someone that you and I talked a lot about last year, Dom, because it seemed like he was falling out of favor, and then all of a sudden he got a lot more time, and the game was still there. So projection-wise, last year you had him at 2-9. He ended up with 6-4. So the production was still there, just not in the way the models suggested, but also the play time was all over the place.
Well, yeah, like the first half, he was the seventh defenseman, barely seeing any ice time. Second half of the season, he was top power play unit, and we showed highlights of some of his goals. I never thought he could shoot the puck like that. So this year, it actually projects his goals to go down because it's not expected of him. 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points. Here's the issue that I have with Langenbrunner. And Kenny, I know you follow college hockey a lot, so this might surprise you a lot. The vast majority of players that are NHL alumni the vast majority of Harvard University alumni in the NHL never play for the team that's drafted them.
Yeah.
They refuse to sign with them, and they go someplace else. Adam Fox, Jimmy Vesey, Alex Kerfoot, John Farinacci from the Bruins is another one. The list goes on and on and on. However, Mason Langenbrunner's father, Jamie, is the assistant general manager of the Boston Bruins. Right shot defenseman. The Bruins are really, really lacking in right shot defensemen. This is his senior year. He turns pro after this year. Let me ask you guys. With Langenbrunner as AGM in Boston, is Mason a sure thing to get an NHL contract where the Bruins need right shot defensemen, or does it depend on the kind of season he has with Harvard this year?
It definitely depends on the season. It's hard to say if he's guaranteed a contract. If you told me he had a different last name, right, I think that this is I would be, it would definitely weigh on this season for sure.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I think if he's going to do what's in his if he has an okay season and he wants to do what's best for his career, I think he should test and see where he can go and not commit himself to just the Bruins. But if he's going to get a Providence contract and, he might only be able to get an ECHL contract somewhere else, right, then might as well just stay. And if they send you down, they send you down. That's where you're going to be anyways. I think it's just about being comfortable for him. If you're a player, if you're the team, then maybe you're like, why not, depending on the season he has. But for me, it definitely matters about the season that he has.
Okay, I'll ask you this, Chris, because I'm going to flip it the other way. You're Mason. Do you want to play for your father? Do you want to hear? Do you want to read Twitter or read Boston Hockey Now or read Dom.Hockey and and see people writing or saying the only reason Mason got a contract is because his father is AGM?
I think it depends on the contract. I think if he's able to get an NHL two-way, like a standard ELC, then I don't think he cares all that much. But if he's only able to secure an AHL contract, then he'd probably prefer to have that somewhere else, because that is much more, at least if they offer him an NHL contract, a standard ELC, then it's, well, they drafted me, they had my rights, they walked me through my Harvard years, and so I signed with them. My career is progressing as it should. What's wrong with that?
But it's
easier to block that noise out.
Is it though? I'll tell you honestly how I feel based on what I've seen the last 3 years. On just the 3 years, I'm not offering him a contract. I don't care how desperate I am for right shot defensemen. Based on what I've seen in the last 3 years, I'm not offering him a contract.
That's why I said it depends on what contract he gets, because
I'm not offering him any contract.
Right.
If it is any,
If he only gets an AHL contract, I think it's simply
Yeah, if
because
it's
of his
any
last
other
name.
player, as of the 3 seasons that he has had, I honestly do not think he gets a contract. And if he has another season like last season, or he regresses at all, I don't even think he gets an AHL contract anywhere. I would go as far to
Right.
say that. So
That's what I'm saying.
Fair
If he
enough.
only gets an AHL contract, then I think it's only because of his last name, and he may try to get an AHL contract somewhere else for that appearance. Because if the Bruins are willing to offer him an AHL contract because he has a decent last season at Harvard, then someone else, I mean, there's 31 other teams, someone's going to need help on the right side. Like you said, right shot D are scarce.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me someone like Vegas wouldn't try bringing him in, especially given the clout of his last name? Someone like, I could see St. Louis doing it just because what else doesn't St. Louis do to try to screw over Boston? Like, it's someone would at least bring him in to try to get a look at him. And if he can sign either with the Wranglers or with Providence, why wouldn't he get away from that noise?
yeah, well, I'll also say that there is always a ton of under the radar college players, especially at the defenseman position, that are not signed and aren't drafted at the end of the year. I think that if he has another season like this, you could just go and grab somebody else. Like, not that I hate saying like a dime a
Yeah.
dozen, but really you could just go grab anybody that has the similar point production. And I'd love to throw another name at you. This has been it feels primarily Boston Bruins and Quinnipiac Bobcats, but Skylar Brindamore was a great player for Quinnipiac, played 4 years, drafted by Edmonton, I believe, or was at one of their development camps, ends up signing in the AHL with Chicago or I believe he actually got a 2-way deal. And then he comes up at the end of the season, and people are pissed to see that Skylar Brindamore is on the Carolina roster to finish the season. You see all the comments. The kid just gets absolutely harassed, and then he scores a goal, and the comments are still harassment. They don't care that he scored in his appearance.
Yeah.
They are pissed to see him up at the end of the season, and that's Carolina. I don't know how other fan bases work, but Boston is terrible. If they look at he could be a fantastic defenseman. If he puts up the same points that he did and he gets a contract, people are going to be upset, and it's going to be an ugly scene on Twitter, as it usually is. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's an understatement. So,
okay, guys, real quick. There's 2 more guys to get through, but I gotta run for a few minutes, take care of my grandson. So if you guys can give me a few minutes, I promise I'll be back.
All right.
Not a problem, Dom. We'll bring you back on as soon as we see you return, okay?
Okay.
All righty.
Little does Dom know, we literally, little does anybody know, after the show, me and Chris usually stay on for like an hour and a half after just talking about hockey anyways. So
I know, right? We just keep the conversation going. So this time y'all get to see it. No, we got 2 more prospects left that aren't part of Providence, and then we'll go over Providence. I'll do something to try to edit up the episode here so that people don't have a 3-hour long pod to listen to.
This might literally be a 4-hour show here.
I don't think it'll get that long, but
as the college players did.
No, I think we'll be able to ignore some of the players in Providence because we don't know if they're going to be there or not.
A lot of the players, you look at players like Luke Cavalin, or you look at a lot of the defensemen. I mean, they signed a lot of players this season that just aren't going to be in the lineup. Guys like Colin Felix, who is I believe UMass Amherst alum. I believe he was I forgot what the other guy's name was. He came over in the deal with they did like a waiver kind of, I forgot what it was called, but they basically did like a loan. They loaned players across.
Oh
yes, and he had I
remember
like
who
5 points in 3 games. I believe they were on the same UMass Amherst team. I forgot I gotta look it up because he was incredible for 3 games and then got injured and then just did not play the rest of the season. he scored 2 goals against like the Amerks, and then he was incredible. Oh, I believe it was Drew Bavaro was the one on the other end of that trade, but
Yes, it was, and it'll be interesting too, because now that we have some of the new rules going into effect, that's going to change how some of these players in the American Hockey League, of course, kind of have to approach some things because I mean there's just there's less cap shenanigans that can occur during the season. The accrual's different. You have to play the AHL game if you're sent down, so the daily paper transaction's gone. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Bruins adjust to how they used to do things.
The player's name was Jake Gaudette. Can't believe he was.
Yes, Gaudette. Thank you.
Very good in his short stint. Him and Jeffrey VL, unbelievable run. And then he ended up unfortunately getting injured. And then, by the time he came back, like Providence had all their players from the NHL back. So obviously there's little room there. But yeah, that was a hell of a run last season. And I'm a little bit sad that this season I probably will not be focusing on Providence as much, obviously doing stuff with Bridgeport, but I'm glad that I'll be able to watch Providence, from the other side, as somebody who's going to be at Bridgeport. And honestly,
there's plenty of hockey to watch. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably forget. I'll be like, oh, Providence who? Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, right. So far, let me ask you this. So far of the prospects we have gone over, whose season are you most looking forward to seeing, whether it's production, whether it's their college or non-college situation? Which prospect are you going to try to keep your eye on the most this season?
Simple answer has got to be it's got to be James Hagens, because I mean he's literally like right.
Okay, let's go with the non-obvious.
Well, I would say I would throw James Hagens out there because then you get to watch everybody. You get to watch the rest of the system that's also there. I mean, 5 or 6 other players, but if I had to pick another 2 players, obviously you want to watch Blenard, because you're like, I have no idea who this guy is, to, oh my God, he's the savior of the Boston Bruins in a span of 2 days. It was crazy.
Yeah, right. No one had a picture of him, and now all of a sudden he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
We talk about our guy Dave Collins. He's already a Blenard stan. Guy he's worn a practice jersey for the Bruins, and he's already like, you've already got diehards out there. So I would love to see his games, and then I obviously a Quinnipiac guy. I want to see how Elliot Gronwald does this season. I mean, just a fantastic defensive player. I watched him last season. It feels like every year, especially before, when it was like the Bobcats really weren't that top tier program. You have season tickets, and then just anybody that makes it to the next level. I remember Eric Hartzell signing with Pittsburgh in like 2012, 2013 after the championship game against Yale, which they lost. I cried so much that night. I think I was like 6 or 7. And then, you have guys like Matthew Pekka, another guy that nobody knows, but he played in the NHL for a while, another guy coming out of Quinnipiac. And I'm glad to see more and more players.
He's been at Springfield
Matthew
a bit
Pekka,
too.
Unbelievable in Springfield. He's
really
a guy
that
just kills Providence every time.
I would have to say 2 under the radar names that I would be looking at to see what they do. The first one, we talked a lot about him at BC, Andre Gasso. I want to see how he's able to bounce back, because he was on such a great path, and then those injuries set him back. That kind of adversity can either really help develop a player in their mental
toughness,
in their mental side of things.
I said mental toughness.
Yes. Or it can really set them back. Not just mentally, but also physically too. Because if he's, I forget what his injury was, but I mean, we see it all the time where a player comes back from a knee injury and they're favoring the other leg, or, that kind of thing. And it's the mental side of getting over the injury more so than the mental toughness of
Yeah.
it. So seeing how he's able to bounce back, if he's able to get back to
Yeah, I don't
almost
want
a
to cut you
point per
off, but
game.
a big thing that happens, especially with injuries and guys like Jelvik, when you allow a player to play through an injury, they develop different habits because they obviously can't
Yep.
play the free like they did before. And then when they come back, the biggest thing is getting out of those habits that you built while you were injured. So that's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah. That's exactly that's one of the main reasons why I have him. He might be second on the or third, obviously Hagen's being the first one on the list, as with everybody else. But the other one we were just talking about him, and that would be Ryan Walsh. You talked about how clutch he can come in as a gamer, and just like that's the type of player that you want to have on your team. You know, I know around here in New England, we get glamorized by Tom Brady and all that type of stuff, but just being able to be calm in the moment and take control.
Yeah.
That is an attribute that when you see it in a player he's not the best on the ice night in and night out, but if he is the calmest, if he is the one who is, the focal point when things are most tense and he can relax the team around him, I want to see how he can continue to do that. And I think being at a place like Cornell, he has the spotlight on him, and it's only going to help that factor.
It's very impressive, and I said it earlier, it's very impressive to do that as a player. We talk about guys like Austin Elliott, and we talk about guys like Michael Robel, right? Two guys who are goalies. They can steal the show every night. Like, let's just be honest. Like, not that they can't, not that it will happen, but goalies can always stand on their head. Every season, there's always games in college where just a team that's way less skilled ends up winning just because the goalie makes 50 saves and shuts down a Boston College. We almost saw it, when they played Bentley, right? But when a player can do that and take over, I mean, that is truly impressive. And I'd like to point out in that Michigan State game, Cornell was down. Cornell was down in that game. And when you have a player like Ryan Walsh, you're like, you just feed him. I want that guy to have the puck.
We got Dom back.
That guy to have it. I want him to shoot.
We've got Dom. Dom, can you hear us?
Yeah, I have to go back and watch the first bit of the show because my grandson, when I walked out, first thing he said to me was, "Grandpa, you said a bad word." And I tried not to swear. So I said, "Well, your dad's picking you up now, so I'm going to be saying a whole lot of bad words when you're going."
Just wait till we get to Providence.
Did I? I can't remember. Did I? Because I tried not to.
I don't know. I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Nothing that stood out. Like, why did he say it that way? Anyway, we got two more, and then we'll shift over to Providence.
Yeah, then I'll swear.
Let's pick that up.
Let him fly.
Then you'll need to.
Yeah.
First is in the USHL, Cooper Simpson for the Youngstown Phantoms.
Yeah, just got traded.
Yep.
On this list of guys, I've received more comments about Cooper Simpson than anybody else on the list. And here's the reason. Great year in high school. 49 goals, 34 assists, 83 points in just 31 games. Joins Tri-City for their final 9 games. Gets 7 goals, 1 assist, 8 points. And I've got it projected at 31 goals, 22 assists, 53 points in 62 games. I think that's low, but that's what it projects out to be. But people are like, Dom, he scored 7 goals in 9 games. He's going to score more than 31 goals. Well, yeah, 7 goals in 9 games projects to 50 goals in the USHL in 62 games. Has anybody ever scored 50 goals in a USHL season? No. Zeller scored 44 last year. He's going to be hard. Simpson would be hard pressed to match that. Am I wrong? Like, does anybody see him sustaining a 7-goal in 9 games pace over 62 games? And let's add this: he's never played more than 40 games in a season.
Yeah, I don't think that kind of production is fully sustainable at that level.
No, I don't think so. Now,
I also believe Will Zellers.
Sorry, go ahead, Kenny.
No, you're all good. I feel bad. I keep cutting you off. I also believe Will Zellers has the most goals in a USHL season in history. No.
Yeah.
So
44.
Yeah, to say that Cooper Simpson is like for sure gonna be around that is a very difficult claim to make. So I definitely agree.
Yeah. Now, what I liked about him is that the transition from high school to junior seemed to come easy for him when you put up that kind of production, which is a very, very good sign. He can play both sides, both wings. Left shot, I believe. Kind of like a Morgan Geekie, where, hey, like all of a sudden Geekie's moved to the left wing. Yeah, he's playing with David Pastrnak, but has a career year on his off wing. And we can get that from Cooper Simpson. I believe he's better on the right side than he is on the left side. And a lot of players, it doesn't happen for the majority of players, but there are some players who find, especially when you're a good shooter, that it helps you because it changes your angle when you're shooting from your offside.
I'd say it's helped Ovechkin a little bit.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be disappointed with 31 goals from Cooper Simpson, but a lot of people seem to be telling me that they would be disappointed after he scored 7 goals in 9 games. A lot of that, and we talked a lot about it last year, Chris, is adrenaline.
Yeah, and it's the perfect time frame. You always talk about it as the 10-game bump.
Yeah. So, he goes up for 9 games. He wants to prove himself and all that. And he's playing on adrenaline because it's his first time in the league. And he does well. But there's no way he's able to sustain that over 62 games. No way could I see him doing it.
Well, I also believe he didn't record a point in the playoffs that season. Last season. Not that they played a lot, but I don't think. I mean, I could look. I don't think he did because I remember tuning into a few of those games, and I don't think that he even recorded a point in the playoffs.
Which would only add to the point John was talking about, playing with the adrenaline, and then now you get to the playoffs, the adrenaline is wearing off, and
I think they only played 3 playoff games though. Tri-City.
That sounds
it definitely wasn't a lot.
Now.
Well, we'll confirm that. But last on the non-Providence list is Cole Chandler, 6'2", $175, $176-ish, playing for the Shawinigan. What is it?
Caricatures?
Cataracts.
Terrible.
Cataracts. If Craig was here, he'd give you the French pronunciation. But yeah. Craig tells me he's going to have a fantastic year, a big year.
I mean, your projections have him having a decent season.
Well, Yes and no. 21 goals, 33 assists, 54 points in 68 games for what is his fourth year in the queue.
I said decent.
For third.
Third year. Still not a lot for third year. Respectable, yeah. But I hate player comparisons. I really do, and I want to give one, but I won't because it's just not fair to the player. But his first two seasons, he had injuries. He was injured in the off season, went into last season. He only put up 13 goals, 19 assists. So he was slowed down. He wasn't 100% going in. But I like his defensive game. I think that's going to be his bread and butter at the next level, is to be a defensive specialist who could provide some secondary scoring. If you're looking for a point producer at the next level, he should have had 80 points in the queue. But again, injuries played a part in his progression. Hardworking, two-way guy. That's how I see him project. Craig is probably going to disagree with me, but Craig is the Q expert. I'm not, but that's the way I see his career panning out.
I would also I think I heard, right, and do not quote me on this. He had some sickness, or I think it was a sickness during like last summer. So he had a sluggish start to the beginning of the season with Shawinigan, and then after the halfway mark, like he completely turned it on. So I'd love to see like what a full season healthy and a healthy summer looks like for him before I put out any real anything, I guess. But
and then
but even then, I think his projection is that of sort of like a Jake Schmaltz defensively, probably with more offense than Jake Schmaltz could provide. What I would really like to see is, after a season is done, is go spend a year in the NCAA. I would really love to see that from Chandler. Because remember now, they have 4 years to sign him. It's not the regular 2 years.
Yeah.
He is committed to Northeastern.
Is he?
I think so.
Let's see.
I did not know that.
I'll check, but I will say Bob has a comment here where he says, I believe Zeller set the Green Bay goals record, not USHL record. We'll have to, not that there's probably a major difference. We can look into that. I'll look to see if
you know what? He's probably right. I think he's right.
let me see which school did you say it was? Northeastern?
Northeastern.
Yeah, it looks like he has committed there.
Well, that's great. I'd love to see him spend at least a year there.
Yeah, Northeastern has it. They apparently, it was as of July 15th they sent it out. So,
good. That'll be good for him.
This is from the Northeastern Hockey Blog. So I think we can trust them on their own team.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can't, but I think that one would be fine. So with that,
yeah.
You guys want to dive into Providence?
Let's do it.
Yeah, just real quick on these guys.
Yes. I was going to ask before we transitioned over if there was any final thoughts.
So the Athletic moved the Bruins up from 32nd to 20th in their prospect rankings. A lot of people think that's because of James Higgins. He's a big part of it. But this prospect pool outside the AHL guys is the best prospect pool the Boston Bruins have had in a very, very long time. Just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, I think it's underrated by a lot of people. You and I have had that conversation for quite some time. And I think over the next couple seasons, some of the players that are underrated in the system will start to showcase a little bit more, whether that's with the Bruins or with other teams. It's just a matter of kind of where everyone cares about the big club. No one's watching these guys. They're just looking at stats. So Kenny, any thoughts on the
USHL? The USHL record was 2011, 2012 by Kevin Roy, had 54 goals. Second was 48 by Matt Coronado in 2020, 2021.
Well, and
it was the Green Bay record. My mistake.
It's okay. We are allowed to make them.
I do not have any. I feel like we covered every player very well. It did take almost 2.5 hours, but I feel like we covered all our bases here. So I'm ready to move on to Providence.
Perfect. Let's start.
Kenny loves Providence.
Let's start with the way the Bruins start their team from the goal out. I think just looking at them as a group, I know a lot of people want to see Korpisalo get sent down to Providence. Obviously, DiPietro's name is back in the mix because he's got the 2-year contract now. They brought in the kid from Czechia, and they brought in the kid from the ECHL, sorry. So it's going to be an interesting crease no matter what, but clearly dictated by who wins the backup job behind Swayman. Fair to say?
Yeah. Whoever doesn't win it is the starter in Providence, unless Korpisalo gets traded. I will say this: no matter what happens, the Bruins have been strong in goaltending for years, from the top to the bottom. Whatever happens here, it's not as strong as it used to be, both at the NHL level and the AHL level. Losing DiPietro, goaltender of the year. Kenny, you've watched, I bet, every one of their games. It's hard to see them being as good as the DiPietro Bussy combination has been for the last couple of years. Can you agree with that?
Yeah. You look at Bussy didn't have a great season last year. It was unfortunate, but he was still one of those guys. DiPietro went down, and he honestly didn't have a great streak of games. But having 2 goalies who can win you games on a nightly basis is huge. I look over at a team like Bridgeport where they had, no goalies that can win them games on a nightly basis.
They didn't have a team that could win a game.
But building the team from just the goalie out is very important. If you ask me, how many games did DiPietro steal for Providence during the season, I'd probably say 5 to 7. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of games for DiPietro to steal. If the Bruins had lost those 5 to 7 games, do they make the playoffs? Right now, they're not. Now they're battling at the end of the season. And I would like to remind everybody, DiPietro was out for the last part of that season. Bussy didn't play well. It took the team 6 to 7 games to even clinch because the teams around them kept losing, but Providence also kept losing. So no, this team is not going to be as strong, even with just Brandon Bussy moving out. Not that Brandon Bussy would be an NHL goalie by any means, but he was a very, very strong AHL backup.
Yeah, and remember a year ago, everybody was penciling Bussy in as a backup, and now we're doing the same thing with DiPietro. I want to say this about Luke Cavalier because I've followed him since his days in the OHL, and I'm as guilty as anybody else that talks about this guy, and I've constantly underrated him. Constantly, even when he was in the OHL. And this guy has done nothing but win for his team, win individual awards. In the ECHL playoffs last season, he was playing at an elite level.
Yeah.
Now, he's only got, I think, maybe a dozen games of AHL experience. And I'm still probably underrating this guy. More so than a lot of other people out there. But I'm willing to see what he has. I don't know. Did you watch much of him in the ECHL?
I did. I caught a few games of his throughout the season, especially when Trois Rivières. Maybe I got that right. Maybe not. I'm not French. But
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
perfect. I did watch a few games, and he's just elite. He looked like a player that was playing at a level lower than what he was capable of, and he was a guy that I checked his stats at the next level, and they were all right. But they were always dominant at the ECHL level, and it doesn't shock me that they ended up winning. But I mean, my God, you look at the stats now, almost a .950 save percentage, and these aren't this isn't like 2 or 3 games, that 20 game sample size in high pressure games, and that's what he's doing. Now, Travier had a very good team, but you can't .950. I mean, it's incredible.
Doesn't matter how good your team is if your goaltending isn't there. So being able to put those numbers up with a good team in front of you is half the battle. I think he can compete for that backup position. Everything I heard about the Czech kid too is a lot of it for him is can his reads carry over from Czechia? And it sounds like he has a pretty good chance because everybody's looking at it as, you know, if DiPietro gets waived, he's going to get claimed. I don't see it right away. I'm not sure that happens. It all depends on some of the other goaltending situations out there. And the fact that it's a 2-year contract, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, but if, let's say it is Edmonton at 31 who he gets claimed by, that means they have to keep him on the Edmonton roster without him, without Boston having a chance to get him back, basically.
Well, yeah, they have to keep him on the raw. If Edmonton wants to send him down, they'd have to first offer him to another team to put in a claim. If Edmonton claims him, puts in a claim and gets him, no other team has put in a claim unless Florida does. So they wouldn't be able to claim. Nobody else would claim him because nobody else put in a claim, so they could send him down.
Right. So it's just I don't see that.
See, that's a gamble Edmonton. That's a gamble Edmonton could take. Is put in the claim. Let's say somebody else claims him. They don't lose anything. If they get him, they know the only thing standing between them and sending them down to Providence is the Florida Panthers. Or sending him down to the AHL.
Yeah.
Not Providence.
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield.
Thank you. I wasn't 100% sure on that one, but yeah, I mean that's a risk they could take. But I mean, I feel like other teams could look at DiPietro's growth over the last couple of years and feel, I feel like a team like Philly might take that chance. Calgary could look at using an additional help as a backup. Like they're not the only ones. I don't think it's as simple as someone just saying let's take that risk. It's
Yeah.
So I see him getting through. Obviously, Korpisalo with the salary would also likely get through. But at the same time, some of those teams that need a starting goaltender, he might be appealing enough. Like, are you going to lose sleep if DiPietro wins the backup job and you lose Korpisalo on waivers? I mean, it's a bullet that you're ready to bite because you kept DiPietro.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And then
you've just gained $2 million in cap space.
Yeah, you're not complaining about that. So, I think Luke and Simon are, I'm going to butcher their last names if I keep trying to call them that, but I think those two could, I wouldn't say battle it out for the starting position. I just think it's a risk that the Bruins can take in Providence. If it means DiPietro might get through to get to them, if it means Korpisalo might get through to them. I'm not worried about them in goal in the sense of they're going to all of a sudden be trash. I agree with you. They're going to be weaker because they don't have the 1-2 punch at the NHL level and a 1-2 punch at the AHL level. But that's what happens when you lose one of your 4 guys and you have to figure out what you're doing and you sign one of your other guys to an 8-year contract. Like the middle is going to get, squished up a little bit. I think they have their eyes on a number of goaltenders in the NCAA. We know they brought Corpy in.
I think it's Albin Boya.
I was going to say Boya.
They invited him to camp. They invited him to camp in the summertime. I think he's their big target. I don't think Philip Svedback is the answer.
No, I also wouldn't be surprised if they have an eye on Austin Elliott up at U Lowell either.
Possibly.
So,
but I think Boya is their.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll have extra eyes out there, though, just in case Boya gets scooped up by somebody else.
I don't think that Austin Elliott's going to be taken this season anyways. I would hope he would stay for another 2 or 3 years, or at least another 1 to 2 years after this season. So it's not going to be like immediate.
Yeah, exactly. I think they would have eyes on him just in case, because, I mean, a lot of people thought Boya would get signed. There were a couple other ones who people had their eye on last year. And then Callum Tongue is the one that got signed by Bridgeport, which
Hartford.
A lot of people didn't. Hartford. We were just talking about Bridgeport. So I think he got signed a little early, but we'll see how that turns out. But it sounds like we're pretty much all on the same page when it comes to Providence in goal.
Yeah. Also, I would like to point out, since this is a lot like a full prospect show, I remember us talking about Callum Tongue in his injury in that in I believe the semifinal game in the Hockey East. He ended up re-injuring that injury playing for Hartford while in Bridgeport. As soon as he went down, it was the same leg. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what Chris and I just talked about. Because Hartford used him a lot. They split time between him and Garand. I don't know what Louis. I think Louis Domingue might have been injured or something, or maybe Garand was injured and Domingue and Tongue were switching. But it was something that was like, man, this is just rough for the kid. But I think he's going to be back starting the season. So, just an interesting tidbit I'd throw in there.
And hopefully healthy.
Yeah, I was just going to say those exact words. All right, so the blue line.
Oh boy.
We've been talking all night about how they need right shot D. I think people are vastly underestimating 2 right shot defensemen in Victor Soderstrom and Ty Gallagher. Obviously, they're not NHL ready by any stretch necessarily. I think Soderstrom's closer, and he might actually put up a fight for an NHL job, but Gallagher needs time in Providence. And I think those are your top two right shot D in Providence.
I look at Providence's defense like this. Jordan Harris and Victor Soderstrom are going to be fighting for the seventh defenseman in Boston. I think Harris has the advantage because he can play both sides and he has NHL experience.
Soderstrom does too, though.
I wouldn't. Hold on. It was Soderstrom. I wouldn't sleep on because he has NHL experience and is just coming off a Defenseman of the Year in Sweden. Okay. But doesn't play both sides. With Harris, you can carry 7 defensemen and he can fit on either side. With Soderstrom, if somebody on the left side goes down, you're going to have to bring somebody else up. Or do they carry 8 defensemen?
That was going to be my question to you, is do you see them possibly carrying 8D? My thought with Soderstrom is I feel like
they've done it in the past.
Yeah, I feel like he's the type of defenseman who could slot in very, very well next to Hampus Lindholm.
Both Swedes.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pair that, first of all, you definitely want to take a look at. They both have decent size to them. I feel like that's a pairing that could work well together.
Yeah, but then you're paying Andrew Peak $2.75 million, or you're paying Henry Jokiharju $3 million to be your 7 defenseman.
But we also know how bad and how short the right shot D market is. And depending on how things go for a long period over the course of the year, if you're on the edge teetering, you could sell off one of those right shot defensemen at the deadline.
And then you've lost whatever depth you gained by signing Soderstrom.
Again, that decision can come into play based on how your other guys in Providence are.
We're talking about Providence, not the Boston lineup. So that's the way I see it. Those two guys are fighting for Boston. If either one of them is sent back to Providence, it changes the whole outlook on the defense.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yep. Absolutely. I still don't hate what they have in their D core down there, though. Loke Johansson, Jackson Edward, Michael Callahan. I mentioned Gallagher before, Freddie Brunei, like Billy Sweezy, we talked a lot about last year. They have a decent unit down there. It's just how are they going to line up that we have to.
I don't know that Johansson even starts in the AHL. I could see him starting in the ECHL.
Okay.
The Bruins take their time with defensemen. When you consider one of Harris or Soderstrom is going down, that'll give them 9 defensemen.
I agree with the sentiment that I'd rather see Loke be a top pair in Maine versus an 8th or 7th guy, like a bubble guy
in Providence.
I'd rather him get the minutes.
Kenny's talked about this before. Jackson Edward wasn't getting a whole lot of time in Providence. So what do they do? Send him down to the ECHL. He needs to play. Loke Johansson needs to play.
Yeah.
That's how you develop these guys.
I hope that
Loke's still 19.
Yeah, I hope that that Jackson Edward thing was I hope we could see more of that, because I wanted to point out that Jackson Edward was scratched for almost a month straight before they decided to send him down, which is just terrible. And I hope that
absolutely
that this kind of opens their eyes to what they can do instead of having some guy who plays one every 2 or 3 games to being the number one defenseman down in Maine, because that's what Jackson Edward did last season. He was a rotational guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, when Jackson Edward played a stretch of games, he was good. I was impressed. I was like, man, I'd love to see more of this. But then by the end of the season,
Yeah.
they're favoring guys like Chris Ortiz because he's got the experience. He's the guy you want in the playoffs. And you can't give that to Edward because he hasn't even been playing most of the games in Providence. So I totally agree with that. I hope that they send him down to Maine if he can't carve out an everyday role in Providence.
Exactly. So, like, if you look at the defense, you've got on the right side Billy Sweezy. Okay, you absolutely need. He's your veteran guy on the blue line to help bring these younger guys along. Okay, so he's in the lineup. Then you got Max Wanner. You got Ty Gallagher. You got Victor Soderstrom, and you got Jackson Edward, although it was a left shot, is predominantly a right shot defenseman. So you've got 5 of them. On the left side, you got Michael Callahan, Frederic Brunet, Jonathan Asperot, and Craig told me the other day, Dom, you're going to love him. You're going to love him. And Loke Johansson, you got 4.
Yeah.
So where's the ice time? Is Loke going to beat out Frederic Brunet or Michael Callahan?
Probably
Or
not.
Jonathan Asperot? No.
Yeah.
So, like Kenny says, why have him sit?
Yeah,
That's why you have an affiliate in the ECHL.
Yeah.
By the way, the Bruins have not announced that they reached a new agreement with the Maine Mariners. What they did, and I found this out after doing a lot of digging, is they had an option for a 3rd year, and they exercised the option for the 3rd year, which is this season.
Okay. So the affiliation's still in place for another season, and then they have to renegotiate.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll have to try to get someone on who can kind of go through what those negotiations look like and how they all work, unless there's a little bit of insight that you can offer. But we got a lot of forward talk to get to.
Yeah. Like, but seriously, where does Loke fit in? Like, you're already stuck trying to find ice time for Jackson Edward.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and Ty Gallagher went onto the scene and made an immediate impact in Providence. They scratched him for the first playoff game against Springfield.
Yeah.
I think it was Springfield.
Lost, put him back in the lineup. He solidified the blue line. And even though they got knocked out in the second round, they went 4-3 after they put him in the back in.
Yeah, and he certainly wasn't the reason why they were losing games.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't score.
Yeah.
I said it when he was I said it a few times when he was playing in Providence. I mean, he didn't look out of place at all. He looked ready to play in the AHL. And it doesn't surprise me one bit. I was more surprised when he was not in the lineup for game 1.
Yeah.
And when he was,
me too.
He made a difference. And I'd like to say, because I know a lot of people do know Loke Johansson. Not a lot of people know Jonathan Asperot, so they're kind of writing him off as somebody who's going to go to Maine. No, he had a great year in Calgary last season. He is a guy that, like I said, like Dom said, would you rather have Loke switching with this guy, or would you rather have him be the number 1 in Maine? I'd rather him be the number 1 in Maine because Jonathan Asperot is a good player. Like, he's not a bum that they're just bringing up here for depth. Like, he can actually play. So if you're looking for the
And-
team standpoint as
and-
well, rather have Ast brought in.
Exactly. And the good thing about Asperot is he can play left wing as well.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I remember
can
you
play-
were
he-
saying something about that.
All going back to his junior days, he's played wing and defense. He can go back and forth.
That doesn't mean that that does not mean Mason Lori should go back to the wing, people.
No, but Calgary used him on wing a lot last year in the AHL. You know, he's got 30 goals and 125 points in 292 games. If that was by a defenseman, that would be great. I would take that every day of the week. But a lot of those came while he was playing on the wing.
That's why you
So,
got to watch.
I don't know.
Stats don't always
Yeah.
tell it.
Right. I don't know how the Bruins are loaded on left wing in Providence, so my guess is that he's going to be playing defense.
Yeah, the D lineup. I mean, the whole lineup itself is only going to fall into place once we see what these guys look like in Boston's training camp. Like once we see what Boston does for their lineup, that's going to trickle everything down.
Yeah, I think these guys though are locks for Providence. I don't think.
I agree. It's just going to be a matter of where do they play based on who else comes down.
Yeah.
Whether it's Soderstrom, whether it's Harris, whether it's Callahan, whether it's any. I don't think the other 6 are going to get cut down, but it's all going to play a part in how they line up. And as Bob says, the Bees have so many fourth line forwards. I can't see them carrying 8D. I mean, Dom, do you think they're going to prioritize the lineup format, whether it's 8D or 7D? Are they going to look to do it that way, or are they going to look at who are our best group of players who we can fit on this roster, and then we will line them up based off of whether we have 8D or 7D, 13 forwards, that kind of thing?
You know what? People are going to laugh at me for saying this. I can see them carrying 13 forwards, 7D, and 3 goaltenders for a couple weeks, just to give DiPietro real NHL games to see how he reacts, and then try and move Korpisalo. This is why I don't do lineup predictions, because I haven't seen what's going on in camp. Nobody has. So how you can do lineup projections is beyond me. If DiPietro steals that backup role, they have to be able to figure out how to buy the time to move Jonas Korpisalo. I'm pretty sure Charlie Jacobs doesn't want to be paying $3 million a year for a guy to play in Providence, in Jonas Korpisalo.
I don't think he would like that.
No.
I think
so. Could the Bruins waive him and put him down there? Sure, they could. But what happens if? See, exhibition games are one thing. Real NHL games are another. You look at Michael DiPietro in Vancouver. If I remember correctly, he got an exhibition game in for the Canucks and was good. Was really, really good. Throw him into a regular season game when they're real NHL rosters, not exhibition rosters, and he gets lit up. And it looked like his career was over.
Yeah. I think the way they're going to approach it is let's take the best 23 guys that can help our NHL team, because they've said it over and over again. Their goal is to compete. And whether that means, you think it means for the playoffs, whether you think it means for a cup, their goal is to be the best team on the ice at the NHL level they can be, and then the best team in Providence that they can be, so on and so forth. The primary goal is the NHL team being the best that it can be. If that means carrying 13, 7, and 3, that's what they will do.
They won't do it for long. They won't do it for long.
No, because that's not what's going to make them the best team long term. It just means that's what's going to get them the best. And we got Court jumping in here as well. So welcome aboard, Court. We've been doing this for a long time.
I look at it like this. What they should carry is the 14 best forwards, the 7 best defensemen, and the 2 best goaltenders. And why I would go 14 forwards is you want a left winger and you want a right winger. You don't want to have to call somebody up after the fact if there's an injury. You want a left winger and a right winger. You've already got guys on your roster that can fill in at center if need be. And you pop in your left winger and your right winger.
Yep, and then you have preferably a guy who can play both sides on the blue line. But
and that would be Harris.
Sometimes that's out of your control.
Yeah.
And then from there, you carry your 2 best goaltenders. I think people overthink it a lot more than just, obviously, like you said, if there isn't a 14th forward who beats out one of your other defensemen, you're okay with carrying 13, 8, and 2 until something can be figured out. But your ideal is 14, 7, and 2.
Ideally, that's what you want.
So with the mindset of so many fourth liners, I don't think they have as many fourth. I think they have a lot more middle 6 guys than people are giving them credit for. But, we got kids who are going to push to make the lineup. Matthew Poitras, Fraser Mitten, Fabian Lysell. Is it Matej or Mate Blumel?
I believe the correct pronunciation is Mate, but they're going to call him Matej or whatever it is.
Alex Steves and Marat Hustadinov all in the mix. Donzlach Melis's name is in the ring. Georgi Merkulov's name is in the ring. Do you see any of those guys sticking in the NHL to start the season, given what else they have with NHL contracts?
I think the first 6 you mentioned are fighting for 2 spots.
Okay.
That's Poitras, Mitten, Lysell, Blumel, Steves, and Husnudinov. I don't think Donzlach Melis is in the mix. Nobody has been higher on. I know everybody is all talking about Donzlach Melis right now. I've been talking about him for 3 years.
Yeah, you got me watching him at UMass.
I don't think he's ready. He stepped into the AHL. He played on adrenaline. He took off playing a position he's never played before in his life on left wing, next to a playmaker in Matt Poitras. Matt Poitras made Georgi Merkulov a better player last year. In 58 minutes with David Pastrnak last year, he made David Pastrnak a better player. Go look at the numbers. I'm not making it up. It's all fact.
I'm going to pull it from your Twitter, and I'll pull it up for you.
Don't bother. People know where to look it up. So, to me, you've heard me talk about it many times, Chris. Adrenaline, and that's what Donzlach Melis played on when he got to the AHL. Okay, so let's hold the horses. Let's give him a training camp. Let's give him at least part of this season in Providence and see what he does. I don't think he's ready.
Kenny, you and I watched them in the playoffs too. You could definitely tell that adrenaline was wearing off. He was still good, but you could definitely tell that adrenaline was wearing off.
Yeah, and watching Providence, that first line wasn't great. Vinny Lettieri was introduced back into that first line, and it just looked like there was something off. But I mean, those few weeks where Patra was playing with Lach Melis, the most unbelievable plays that you've ever seen. You cannot. It was truly just like they were one of the only lines, especially down the stretch where guys were getting called up, and they would still win. That line was good for 2 or 3 points a night, and it was just Patra and Lach Melis. It was 2 players. The second to last weekend, Patra and Lach Melis both had 7 points in 2 games, and they opted to go with Patra because he was I believe had one more. He was plus 1 more. I don't know what the actual number was over Lach Melis, so they ended up giving it to him, AHL Player of the Week. But both of the players should have probably split that award. And I'll look what Court's saying right now. Patra and Blumel make this team. I completely agree with that. I like Lysell. I do. Blumel, I watched him last season, and he was a scorer. That was it. He just scored goals at will. He found the back of the net. It didn't matter. You can go for this certain thing. I don't recommend watching highlights to get the full effect of a player, but I recommend watching highlights just for this reason. He scored everywhere. He was not, a guy that sat in one area and scored. He scored wherever the puck found him, and it found him everywhere, and he scored everywhere. He scored at will. This is a guy that I think that the Bruins should keep up because he's beyond earned it. I mean, people talk about guys like Georgi Merkulov. Oh, they earn it at the next level. Imagine Georgi Merkulov on steroids. That is Matej Blumel to me. In Matt Patra, I mean, like I said, a lot of the knock on him was just him getting thrown around and him mentally not being there. And we talked about it, I believe, with Gale, right? I think it's just he was upset because I was upset. You know how many beautiful plays Matt Patra made and his teammates were not scoring? Not saying that it's an excuse, but it really is. It's frustrating. The guy's getting hit everywhere, which he needed to work on, and he was letting it take him out of the game. And I'm sure Dom will agree with this. I talk about the 2 separate stints in the AHL. There were 2 distinct differences from those stints. The first one, he played with Lettieri and Merkulov, both AHL All-Stars. Even though they weren't technically AHL All-Stars, they were AHL All-Star caliber. You're joining a line with 2 elite AHL players. He goes in there, dominates, has the second longest scoring streak in the AHL for the season. He was just different. That line carried Providence through that whole month. Providence ended up having their longest winning streak of the season while they were together. But there was one way to get to Matt Patra. You hit him after the whistle, you shove him, you give him a cross-check in the back. He did nothing. That is how you took him out of the game. You watch a team like Hartford, after the whistle, they give him a little nudge. And he's a rookie. He's not going to get those calls. It's just not going to happen, especially after the whistle. It was nothing egregious, but that's how they took him out of the game.
Until okay, no, go on. You're getting to the second stint. Go on.
The second stint now, completely different attitude. Completely different player. Merkulov was injured. Lettieri was up in the NHL club. Now he has Dan Zlachmelis next to him. And he was still offensively the best player in the AHL. I'd go that far to say he was the best offensive player in the AHL. Thank God Dom's grandson is not around to hear me say this, but he didn't take shit from anybody.
Right.
That second stint. If he got hit, he got up and he hit back. I remember him scoring an empty net goal. He gets run after and he cross-checks up high, throwing guys up against the wall. He was making hits. He did not care what was happening. He was giving it back. And I think if he keeps that same mentality in the NHL, I believe he's going to be fine. I believe that main talking point of people being like, he can't be physical. He keeps just taking hits and he's not doing anything and he plays scared. That's going to go away. But again, he's got to keep that same mentality in the NHL. And I think everything is going to even out for him.
Matthew Patra does not play scared. He does not play scared. He keeps going to where he needs to go. I saw I actually have the video someplace where in the OHL, Jackson Edward just about leveled him or did level him. Massive open ice check. And I thought, oh my God, he's not getting up. And he bounced right back up, went after him. He knows how to take a hit, but no player knows how to take a dirty hit. Like that high hit he had in the AHL at the end of last season where he went right back after the guy.
Yep.
I forget what game it was, but Matthew Poitras does not play scared. That I will totally disagree with.
Cord also points out he's also made the Bruins twice out of camp, meaning the Bruins like him. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that bodes well for his opportunity to make it out of camp.
I want to say this about Don's Lachmelis, because Kenny brought something up. Again, like I've been following his career for a few years. I've often talked about nobody his age has the international experience that Don's Lachmelis has. Everybody's talking about it now, but I've been saying it for 3 years. This is the thing with Don's Lachmelis and why he's not ready for the NHL right now is he did great internationally because he played with men who understood the game and played with high IQ players. In college, he never put up massive points. Okay. We can all agree Matthew Poitras is a high IQ player. He goes to Providence, plays one game, he was okay, gets moved the next game onto the wing that he's never played before with a high IQ player and blows up. Okay. He ain't going to get to play with those players in Boston if he were to make the roster out of camp.
That's the worry that I have is where are they going to put him? Now, I did see that this week at captain's practice, he spent a lot of time on wing today, but I mean, obviously it's a captain's practice. It doesn't mean anything until the coach has him playing there in real practice. But the fact that he has the ability to do that does add, at least in my opinion, the opportunity for him to make the team. But he's another one where do you want him as, because Bob says up here, Poitras, 1C has to happen. I'd rather him be my 1C in Providence than my 13th forward in Boston.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be a 13th forward if he was to make the lineup.
I saw somebody mention it today. And it's like this organization would need a brain transplant if he was a 13th forward. You just don't do that to a player of his skill set to sit up on the ninth floor when he could be playing games and improving.
Your 13th forward at best is Patrick Brown. That's the guy that you would earmark to be your 13th forward because he's the guy that you can put in the press box for 3 nights in a row and then throw him in the lineup. Yes, it's a fourth line guy, but I'm going to bring this up. Bob says that the Bruins organizationally seem to ruin their offensive players by forcing their two-way game method. It seems to routinely stall their development and then adds on or playing them down in the lineup with lesser skilled players. But the thing is, Bob, that's not what they're doing. If that was the case, then Matthew Poitras would have been on the fourth line 2 years ago. The reason why he's been in Providence, the reason why Fabian Lysell has been in Providence is because they are higher skill players getting more time in their top 6 role down in Providence. They're not playing with lesser skill guys in Boston. That's why they're doing it this way.
I would say Patrick Brown is not a 13th forward. I would want Patrick Brown gives the Bruins organization the most value being in Providence and then coming up for the games that he needs to. Having him 100% forward takes away from everything that he brings to Providence. And like Chris said, and I quote him on this because I think that it was a good analysis of having Fabian Lysell stapled to Patrick Brown on the bench last season, just helping him through because he struggled at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And it was apparent he was trying to do too much. And having him next to a guy like Patrick Brown, who is very skilled, very good AHL player, by the way, not just, people like to say Patrick Brown's a bum, Jeffrey Viel's a bum. No, these guys produce at the AHL level. They're very good. I believe Patrick Brown was top 3 or top 5, I should say, on the team last season in points. So I think his value needs to be in Providence if you want like that full effect.
Brown up forward, squeezy on defense, like player coaches.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that statement, Kenny. I'm just using Patrick Brown as an example as far as he's the kind of guy where if he sits for 3 games in a row, you're not worried about his development because he is what he is. I agree. I'd rather have him down in Providence because he can bring more value down there. It's just if you suffer an injury where you have to call someone up and you don't know if they're going to be in that top 6 role, like, we all can agree that if, Elias Lindholm goes down, you're not calling Patrick Brown up to be your 1C. Like that's where you're going to bring a guy like Matthew Poitras up from Providence to take over in your top 6. And, obviously probably slide Zach up and move Poitras into a 2C type role. It's going to change based on who gets hurt. But that's why we're not seeing Matthew Poitras play on a 4th line with Mark Kostelic on his wing.
Okay, can we move on? Because I got to end soon,
Yes.
And we'll stick to Providence roster, not Boston roster.
Where do you want to go next, Dom? I will let you pick. Because we kind of been throwing everybody in groups here because it's all.
Let's start with Brett Harrison.
Effect.
Going to start with Brett Harrison.
Good one.
A year ago at camp and the Prospects Challenge and even main camp, it looked like he was turning a corner and there was some life. And then the AHL season started and it was right back to what we're used to seeing. Look, I was the one, even before they drafted him, I thought they should take a shot at this guy or take a chance on it. Has the skills to be an NHL player. He really does. The shot, the IQ, the everything. Lacks heart. Afraid of physical contact. Last year of his entry-level contract. I hope he figures it out this year. Not banking on it. Kenny, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think you described it perfectly. He shies away from contact, and that's just something that can't happen at a professional level or even a junior level, but it's different at the junior level. You're going to be playing against guys that are more your age, more your weight, more your height. In the AHL, that's not how it is. You're going to be playing against players who are men, a lot heavier, a lot taller, and he just hasn't made that adjustment, and it's really unfortunate because he has a wicked shot. And honestly, I talk about a guy like Trevor Kuntar. He was a great player, and it was unfortunate. But when players went down, they went to Riley Duran and Brett Harrison. People forget they went to Riley Duran and Brett Harrison and allowed them to play on the top line and play in top 6 roles. And Riley Duran took it and ran, and Brett Harrison didn't. Riley Duran had a fantastic end of the season, and Brett Harrison, I don't even believe played in the playoffs at all. They opted to go with guys like Joey Abate and Trevor Kuntar to round out that lineup, even though most of the lineup was skilled players. So it's unfortunate, right? My expectations are low for this season, but it's just unfortunate. I don't know what else to say.
Well, Bob has a question here. Yes.
He's playing in a bottom 6 role now because that's what he's earned.
Yeah, he hasn't earned, like his skill set is top 6, but you can't You can't skate to a guy in the corner that has the puck and do a sweep check on him, hoping to get the puck and miss and just do a flyby. You can't. You can't do that as a pro hockey player, whether you're top six or bottom six. David Pasternak would never do that. Brad Marchand would never do that. And they're elite top six players. You've got to make contact with that player. You can't just sweep check at the puck. And that's what Brett Harrison does.
He also started out in a top six role at first. When he started doing those types of things, that's when he slid to a middle six role. And that's when he slid down and further, and now eventually out of the lineup because he hasn't played, I don't think he's played fourth line minutes in Providence. Have you ever seen him on the fourth line in Providence?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yes.
Also, I would like to say I just checked my notes because I was at the AMP for game 1. Brett Harrison was on the first line to begin the season. He played alongside Vinny Lettieri and George.
I was gonna say, I know they've tried him in that higher role. They're giving him what he's earned at this point. This isn't.
And, I did say he did even at the end of the season he was given that leash. He did play first line and second line minutes while players were injured, and he didn't play. He didn't earn it. Riley Duran got the opportunity, ran with it, and I believe Duran did play one game at the end of the season in the NHL. So, and that's the tale of
inflatable scarecrow.
Guys. So
he's an inflatable scarecrow. Looks tougher than he is. As soon as you touch him, it's gone.
It's too bad because I really saw it when the Oshawa Generals traded him to the Windsor Spitfires in his final season in the O, that Mark Savard was going to work wonders with this kid. And because Mark Savard was the coach there, it just didn't happen. It's too bad because he's got the talent to be a very good NHL player.
Well, someone else who's got a lot of talent that fans have been all over, Dom, I will let you say the next guy's name.
Georgi Merkulov. I love doing that. Georgi Merkulov. A lot of people were kind of surprised he re-signed with Boston. I know this. Merkulov wants to make it work. He's not a quitter. He could have run back to the KHL. I'm sure he would have got offers there and made a few $100,000 more than he's making in the American Hockey League. But he wants to make it work. Kudos to him for not being a quitter and running. I think he's the third highest scorer in Providence Bruins history.
Fourth.
At this point. Fourth?
5 goals away from Craig Cunningham, I believe. 5 points away, I should say.
And I think if he spends the season in Providence, he could be the top point producer in Providence Bruins history. Am I right? In 4 years?
What was it? I think it's around 30-something. 30-something points he would need to be the number one guy. So, definitely doable.
The skill is there at the AHL level. Hasn't really gotten a shot at the NHL level. He needs a strong rookie camp. He needs a strong main camp, and he needs a strong start in the AHL this year to get a legit shot at the NHL level. Look, we don't know what's going to happen with this team. There's going to be opportunities.
That's for sure.
And we'll see if he earns one.
Real quick, I have the numbers here. He has 179 total career points, and he is chasing 210. So that's 31 points.
31.
Yeah.
And then he'll be there. And he has 201 games played compared to first place, who's Andy Hilbert, who has 234 games played. So And real quick, I don't want to ignore Mike's question. He asked about any development concerns with the 6 Bruins prospects playing at Boston College. Mike, that was the first 2 hours of the show. I will try my best to put some time logs in when this comes out as a pod. So if people want to skip ahead to specific prospects, they can do that. But that was earlier. In short, I don't even know how to summarize it. We went through each one individually, Mike. So they're all together. I promise. I just didn't want them to be ignored because we're here.
To make it easy, no development concerns.
Good way to summarize it.
Well, we did say something about Wilmore Dean Letourneau being a tough fit, but other than that, I think that was, one of those guys that are going to be difficult to fit in, but everybody else is going to be good.
Yeah.
That's basically the summary. And obviously, big Georgi Merkulov fan. Love the guy. I have his jersey in the back. But I think that if you want the full Georgi Merkulov effect, you have to play him on the power play. And I believe when he played on the power play last season in Boston, he was fantastic. Apparently, other people did not agree with that, but that's what's going to happen. Like if Georgi Merkulov wants to carve out a role on the roster, they need to be willing to throw him on the first power play and let him work a little bit. I would also like to say he's a very offensive minded. He was a little bit short in the preseason. Like, I think that, the play sometimes moved a little fast for him, especially on the power play, but he tries stuff, right? He's going to attempt those seam passes where if it works, it's a goal. If it doesn't, the puck's going to get cleared. And that's kind of that take it or leave it that you have with him, in my opinion. So fans need to be ready for that because it happened and people are upset. And it's like, well, that's his game. And if you watch him in Providence, that play does actually work more than it doesn't. But again, now you're adjusting to the NHL, and I don't believe he's had enough time to make that real adjustment.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep rolling because we got quite a few more names here, and I know we're running late on you, Dom. I apologize. So let's get through a few more of these real quick. Riley Tufte, real quick. I would just say solid season last year. Great to have him back, but I really don't see him making any kind of NHL push with all the other players they have. But
if they need a fourth line call up at some point because of injuries, he's probably a decent fit there.
Yeah, a decent option for that. Anything to add there? Because we saw what he was last year, and I just don't see it changing all that much.
No, I think he's good for the young guys, and he'll put up some points in Providence, and is he on the top line in Providence? He just might be, and if he's on the wing with Matt Patra and Donslad Schmelitz, let's say, big body who is not going to let anybody take liberties at their 2-star players.
I could see
Kenny?
that.
If I had to sum it up in one sentence, it would just be he's a very good AHL player.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. He's a good AHL player. He can come up and play that fourth line role if you really need it, but he's an asset to have in Providence.
So let's move on to Dalton Bancroft. He'll be entering the first season with Providence. He obviously played there a little bit after his season at Cornell last year. Dom, what do you think is the long-term projection for Bancroft?
Well, long-term projection, I mean, I think his ceiling is a third-line winger who can provide secondary scoring. He showed great touches as scoring in Junior A. Showed flashes of it with Cornell. I love that he was Ryan Walsh's teammate for a couple of years. Skates well for his size, steady defense, but that's his ceiling as a third line winger.
Okay. I think it'll be interesting to see how he's utilized in Providence for that kind of role. Some depth, but I don't think he'll be anything for the NHL club for at least another year or two.
Oh, definitely not.
John Farinacci, where do you think the organization stands with him? Because we've seen him contribute at the NHL level, mostly on the third line.
I love Farinacci. Well, let Kenny start with Farinacci.
John Farinacci played a very big role for Providence last season, and I think it went completely under the radar, unfortunately. He's very skilled, and I'm so glad that he got that opportunity at the end of the season to play up in Boston, where he did score a goal. I don't know if he's going to end up making this team. I really don't, or I should say Boston. He's going to be a good player in Providence. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that Boston roster, but I would say that he did everything possible to catch the eye of any NHL team out there, because I feel like he was fantastic in the AHL and he was very good in his one game in the NHL.
I've always loved him. It's funny because if you go back to the way back in the show, we were talking about guys that went to Harvard that didn't sign with their drafting teams. I think Farinacci looked at Boston as a very good opportunity to make the team, because obviously they had a lot of holes, and now one draft has changed all that, right?
Yep.
that opportunity isn't as obvious anymore as it was when he first decided to sign with the Bruins. But I love his defensive game. I think his upside is, again, a third line. He can play center or wing. Who can kill penalties for you and provide a little bit of secondary scoring. He's not a top six, that's for sure. And unless the game changes, he's not a fourth line type player in the traditional sense.
Yeah, I don't see a long-term fit. And I think he's great. He could become one of those solid AHL veteran players that you get, almost like Patrick Brown 3 years from now, where he can be that veteran in the AHL and then get called up into the NHL for a fill-in or for the time off at the end of the year as a thank you game kind of thing. But
I think he can play in the NHL.
You think so?
I think he can play. Yeah, it might not be with Boston, but he can play in the NHL. I absolutely believe that. Kenny?
Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly think that Patrick Brown is a very skilled player, and he could play on the fourth line in other places. But I think that it would be a mistake for Boston to play him on the fourth line, like I said earlier, because of just how much.
No, I meant Farinacci.
Yeah, we're talking Farinacci.
Oh yeah, depends. I think I agree with Don where it's like he's not a traditional fourth liner, but if he plays on a team that doesn't have that bruiser, Boston Bruins type of fourth line, then I think he could definitely play.
That's fine. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I think, Dom, you've said it before. He does the little things right. So when a coach can trust a player to do that, they always have a shot. The door doesn't close on those kind of players. So, he may not have an extremely long NHL career, but he'll have a good overall hockey career. And, we'll see how he fits in at the NHL level. Let's move on to Riley Duran, because he's in the final year of his ELC, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Like Kenny said, like he got an opportunity in Providence and he ran with it. Let's not forget that a year ago at this time, everybody was penciling him into the lineup because of the World Juniors, right? And it just goes to show how much can change and how you shouldn't put too much emphasis on one tournament. Because a lot of fans were penciling him into the lineup, and here we are. Nobody's talking about him this year. I know in college he played top line, but he's not a top line player. He doesn't produce like a top line player. He could find a nice role in the NHL as a fourth liner who brings energy, great on the forecheck, has a wicked shot, can kill penalties, isn't going to put up a lot of points. And that's what I see as his upside.
Yeah, I think when we saw him towards the end of the season and he got that call up, fourth line was a good solid spot for him. I just think right now it's kind of a little bit crowded in that area, and I don't think he's going to be beating anybody out for that job, but you know, he certainly could see some time this year. Kenny, any additional thoughts or any differing thoughts?
No, I try to keep my my analysis a little quick because I know we're kind of running to the end, but everything that Dom said was right, and the World Junior effect is definitely real. I mean, if you have a bad World Juniors, you're not as bad as people are going to make it out to be. Your career isn't over, and if you have a great tournament, you're probably not as good as people are making you out to be. So that's definitely something to watch out for if you're a fan in the future.
Absolutely. So
exactly.
Let's skip.
Well said.
Yeah. We already touched a little bit on Jeffrey VL. Did you guys have anything to add to the he's what, 28 now? 28-year-old's analysis here?
Well, Kenny said it best. Like, the guy can play. He's a half a point a game player at the American Hockey League level. He can play. The thing that I like about VL is, and you need him on this roster, is like if Patra's on the team, Lodge Mellis is on the team, you know, Steve's, Blumel, if any of these guys are on the team, and the kids on defense, he makes every single one of them play bigger than they are, because they know one thing's for certain: he's got their backs. And you know, people might say, well, it's a little bit redundant having him and a body on the roster. A body's on an AHL deal. He was given an NHL deal for what, 3 weeks basically, last year, just to get him a call up to the NHL because they need. But he's, you know, VL's going to be the guy who's going to make everybody else on the roster play bigger than they are, and they need somebody like him, especially with the number of youngsters on this team.
Absolutely. I think you analyzed it the right way, and I got nothing to add there. Kenny, you got anything?
Yeah, I think Joey Abate and Jeffrey VL play two different roles. I think Abate is more of that traditional fourth liner, and like you said, and like I said, Jeffrey VL is a skilled guy. He could play. He could flat out play in the NHL, and I believe when he got called up to the NHL, he had a very good stint as well. I thought he was a spark plug on the fourth line, and he created opportunities even though he didn't score. I think Jeffrey VL is like another Patrick Brown, where people really don't understand the true value that he brings to this organization.
And a body tries to be what VL is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then I think last but not least, we have Jake Schmaltz, a nice little defensive specialist. He's on an AHL only deal, if I remember correctly, right? Like similar to Gallagher.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys probably going to kill me for this, or somebody out there listening is going to. I'm surprised they signed him. I really am.
We
Um,
talked enough about him last year. I'm not surprised that that's the direction you went with it.
like I don't know where he fits in this Providence roster. Like, look, Kenny, you're going to kill me. Okay, I'd rather instead of having Brooklyn Kalmakoff in Maine, I'd rather have him in Providence than Jake Schmaltz.
Is that it? You want me to say something about
Yeah,
that?
you're going to disagree with me, right?
I do a little bit. I think that Jake Schmaltz has a ceiling of like what John Beecher was this year. Like fourth line, can kill penalties. I mean, Jake Schmaltz is very good defensively. I'm not shocked that they signed him. Yeah, I mean, the role he's going to play in Providence is just that. It's just kind of like a shutdown player, and it doesn't shock me that he didn't get many games down the stretch. But I'm definitely not a Brooklyn Kalmakoff hater. I think he's a very good player. I watched him down in Maine. He's very good for the AHL. I mean, the ECHL. He's another one of those like Luke Haviland players where you're like, yeah, he's playing a level that's just too low for him. So I'm not shocked that Providence gave him a contract. Like I said, I just don't know where Schmaltz would fit in. I mean, like I still like I agree with that part. I really don't know where he's going to play, but I think his ceiling could be NHL. Beecher has an NHL deal and Beecher doesn't really play that well offensively, and I think Jake Schmaltz has the potential to be a better defensive player.
But Kenny, Beecher was never drafted as an offensive player. Jake Schmaltz was.
Beecher's playing the role that he was meant for.
Yeah, let's remember Schmaltz put up very, very good points in junior, and even in his first year at college, put up decent amount of points. So he was never drafted as a defensive player. He just turned into that.
Now, if he can find the offense, though, then
does it matter? Is my question.
Tune changes.
Does it matter that he was drafted one way, and then he's now playing a much more defensive game? For me, if he's good, he's good.
Okay, good point. I don't have a comeback for that one. Okay, let me.
1 point for Kenny. Who forechecks better? Who's got a better speed game? Like speed, who's got more speed to their game? Who sticks at the NHL level better?
I had a counterpoint, but as I play it over in my head, I think I know what Kenny's going to say. So I'm going to. Okay. So we don't know where he fits in the roster now. We agree on that, right? Okay. So next year, when you got Ryan Walsh turning pro, quite possibly. You got Andre Gassot turning pro. You got Oscar Yelbuck turning pro. And there's one or two others that might possibly turn pro. Where does he fit in then?
In Providence? Where does he fit in?
Yeah. Because I don't see him fitting into the NHL in the next 2 years.
I think that answer is discovered this year. As Bill points out, he's watching over on LinkedIn. Players evolved. So, let's see what his evolution is for what he can do this year. If he's able to find any sort of offense, then one of those guys that you just mentioned turning pro next year is going to have to kick him out of the lineup. Otherwise, if he is just what he is right now, a defensive specialist, maybe one of those guys can kick him out.
I think if he has a head start, right? He's going to start the season in Providence most likely. So he's going to have games where he's able to prove. And we saw it last year where, some guys came from college, guys like Dalton Bancroft, guys like Jake Schmaltz, who didn't kick anybody out of the lineup. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's still very good players that are going to be making that jump. But like I said, Jake Schmaltz has the head start. If he can do anything or show a little bit, I think he could stay in that lineup for the full season. So.
Okay.
Anyway, Dom, did we miss anybody? Any points? We've been doing this for longer than I think you and I ever have, aside from a trade deadline special or a draft thing or some other special live event that we were doing. Did we forget anything that you wanted to go over, touch on, or any final thoughts from you?
Very quickly, I want to explain who's eligible for the Prospects Challenge. By the way, are you guys going to that in Buffalo?
I don't know. I don't think so. Unless, Kenny, you've got something. I think you're still...
No, I wish. 10-hour drive from where I am, so it's a little bit difficult. But
well, it's only 2
7 for me.
It's only 2 for me. My God, and I live in a different country.
Listen, Dom, if you're going to be there, I will try to find my way there.
It depends on who's on the roster. Because I'm not going to go watch a bunch of invites. So just to be clear about who's eligible to attend and who is not, has nothing to do with whether a player is considered a rookie or not. And I just want to make this clear because I know these questions are going to come up when we find out about invites. So it has nothing to do with rookie eligibility, even though it's called rookie camp. What it has to do, according to the CBA, is games counted towards the NHL pension fund. So if a player has 50 games that counts towards the NHL pension fund, they are not allowed to take part in rookie camp. They're limited to 20 days in training camp, which is the main camp, which means they can't play in the Prospects Challenge. Every other player is limited to a maximum of 27 days in training camp and therefore can take part in rookie camp. So for now, 50 games doesn't necessarily mean 50 games played. It's the number of games played, number of games that they've been on the 23-man active roster and did not play, number of days on injured reserve, and number of games on long-term injury reserve. If that adds up to 50, they're not eligible for rookie camp. Okay? So it's theoretical that, or it's possible that a player can have 49 games on the 23-man roster, not play a game, and be sent down to the American Hockey League, okay? Or let's say 50 can be sent down to the American Hockey League, are still considered a rookie in the NHL, but are a veteran when it comes to the pension, NHL pension, and therefore not eligible for rookie camp. I hope that makes sense.
I think so. And guess what? People will be able to go back and listen to it until it does, because it makes sense to us. I think there's, as with a lot of those types of things, there is a formula. And once you understand what the variables are, what columns to look at or where to go find that data. It's just a matter of what is the variable, whether it's games played or games on the roster or that kind of thing. So it's all in, as you said, it's all in the CBA. You'll be proud of me, Dom. I downloaded the entire memorandum of understanding or whatever it's called for the one that goes into effect next year. It's 138 pages.
Did you read it?
I haven't read the whole thing yet. I've skimmed through it though. But I'm going to be reading it.
I've memorized it. I've memorized it already. Give me a page number. I'll read it to you.
You just pull it up and read it right verbatim. No, it's all in there. There's some interesting rule changes, and Dom, I got to tell you, there are a lot of people who want us to bring your show. I call it your show because I mean it's the Dom.Hockey, the podcast show. I just do it with you. So hopefully we're able to bring that back sooner rather than later, but I know there's still a lot going on for you. But again, I can't tell you how happy we are to hear the good news when it comes to your health, and hopefully that continues for
The
you.
health is great.
So
unfortunately, I'm working on a lot of things. Obviously, everybody who was listening earlier knows I have a grandson. I have a second grandson who turns 1 year next month. I've been teaching him how to walk. Accidentally let him fall on his face the other day, and he cried for a bit. But
hey, he can skate already.
Kids are kids. And now they're pregnant with twins. So when I'm ready to retire next year, I'll have 4 of them, and I'll be changing a lot of diapers. So that plus work still wants me to go to Mexico for 6 months to train the Mexicans how to do my job when I retire. So
and it'll all change tomorrow when 900 things get different. So
I don't want to get political. There's blame to go around, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's totally fine. We can't thank you enough for coming on today, giving us all this time, and thank you to your family. Obviously, your grandson was around, so we thank him for your time as much as you for your time. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait till we're able to bring the show back, but you've got so much going on. You know me. The door's open when you're ready.
Quick story, though. So yesterday, I had an appointment with the cardiologist. Was the first day of school. Okay, so when he was so excited about the first day of school. He loved school. Going into grade 2. When he found out I had a doctor appointment, no, Mom, I can't go to school today until Grandpa gets home from the doctor. At 7:00 in the morning, I had to go pretend to go to the doctor and go back to his place at 8 in the morning and say, it's okay, Grandpa just went to the doctor, everything's good. Oh, he was bound and determined he wasn't going to the school until Grandpa got back from the doctor.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, the good news is you had the good news to give them too. So
yeah. No, I didn't have it at the time. I made it up.
I know. I'm saying it backed up your story.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing. So, but yeah, like I said, the door's always open. You know that. We thank you for everything. Bruins fans everywhere, thank you for everything that you do. And like I said, working with you has brought on this entire show, and hopefully we're able to do work that makes you proud. So.
Oh, of course you do. And I tune in when I'll be sitting there with the grandson. He'll be watching something on Stitch or Twitch or whatever that stupid console is called, Switch, I think. And I'll have you guys on the TV and then on my phone so I can message, right? Send a message.
We'll have to cut the swearing out, Kenny.
Now that I know. I'll keep it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. It's like, I forget what, it was a few episodes ago where he's, Grandpa, he said a bad word. It's like, if my son swears, he can't wait to tell his mother that Dad said a bad word. And then she gets mad.
Oh, we have Dom's grandson as the swear police now, Kenny. We've got to be careful.
Now that I know, I'll keep it more. I'll keep it more reined in.
We'll keep it family friendly.
Yeah, I gotta
forward. So
let me know when this is uploaded so I can go see if I swore in the first 2 hours, because he says I did.
It'll be on YouTube in about 5 minutes. It'll take me a little while to do some editing on the pod version, but YouTube, it'll be up as soon as we're done. So
okay,
I definitely did. I definitely.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
I let him fly. So,
But
Maybe it was you then, and he thought it was me. Well,
maybe-
no, because I got earphones in, so he couldn't have heard you.
What do we sound alike or something?
All right, boys.
anyways, Dom, thank you
No,
so
he
much.
couldn't have heard you because.
Oh,
Well, if he was watching
All
on
right,
screen,
boys.
he could have heard it. But yeah, I want to thank
No,
everybody
'cause
for
I
tuning
got-
in.
I got headphones in. He couldn't have heard you.
Gotcha. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. All the comments were awesome. We love the comments when they come up. That's why we try to pull each and every one up and address them. Court for jumping in, Bob for jumping in, Bill for jumping in, Mike, Dom. Again, can't thank you enough for your time, especially so much of it. And Kenny, I'm looking forward to doing many more of these shows as we cover the OHL, the Q, all these things that are now on Flow Hockey, and it's going to be a hell of a season, not just for the Bruins that we talked about today, but Kenny, you and I will cover everything going forward. So any final thoughts from you, Kenny?
yeah. First, like to just repeat what you said. I mean, Dom, it's great to hear that your health is back on track. That's always inspirational. Like I said, I have a lot of inspirational
Thank
stuff on
you.
my feed, and you took the cake for the day. So congratulations on that. Yeah, I'd say you're definitely a legend around the Bruins Twitter, and I'll say that you definitely lived up to the hype today. This was a fun show, and I appreciate the time.
Yeah, next time, Kenny, we're gonna have to. Well, what did we used to call it, Chris? Where I told a story
Oh, Dom story
about
time.
the old Dom's story time. That's it.
Story time.
I got
Dom.
some good ones.
Uh,
Everybody's still talking to me about the Jesse Gabriel story when I told it on the pod.
Yeah.
So
It's a fan favorite, but with you here, Dom, I got to give you the final last word. You can either give us a Go Bees or a Georgie Merkulov.
go